What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3 Iya, Chapter 52-51. Undiscovered 5.5 layers. Seeking collection. Seeking investment. Seeking reward. Advertisement. Pelusolino looked at Lucas awkwardly and took a sip of coffee. After a short break, there was a knock on the door. Lucas turned his head to look. Pelusolino shouted, "Please come in." Akin walked in at this time and saluted the two. Report to Pelusolino Vice Admiral, Lieutenant Colonel Lucas, Doflamingo's trial has ended, and he can be taken to Impel Down at any time. Okay, let's go now. Pelusolino got up and walked out. Lucas followed. The mission of Lucas and Pelusolino this time is to escort Doflamingo. After Doflamingo is sent to Impel Down, Pelusolino will end the mission and leave their warship. Where is the Doflamingo? Lucas asked, looking at Akin. Monet is watching him at the door. Akin returned. Well, that's fine. Lucas nodded, and the three of them walked out of the house, came to the door, and continued walking. Bring Doflamingo to the Gate of Justice, take a warship, and catch the marine current, and the next destination is Impel Down. Lucas sat on the warship, glanced at the Doflamingo who were escorted to the warship temporary prison, and then sat aside to rest. The sun is shining, and a few seagulls are flying in the sky. Lucas looked at the second door of justice in the distance, and finally arrived. Ensign picked up the phone worm and contacted the person Impel Down. The Gate of Justice opened and the warship sailed towards Impel Down. Lucas put down his glass, stood up, put on the marine cape, walked to the bow, and looked at Impel Down in the distance. The warship approached the dock. Lucas and Pelusolino disembarked. Monet escorted Doflamingo down, and Akin and Buggy escorted the Don Quixote family members. Doflamingo, see it, this is where you will stay in the future. Lucas said, pointing to Impel Down, people in your branch house are also locked here, but you will be locked in. The 6th floor is not the same as them. Doflamingo turned away, not wanting to look at this guy. Advertisement. The door of the prison opened, and a tall man with 2 horns on his head walked out. Thank you, everyone, please give us the Doflamingo and Don Quixote family members. Magellan walked to Pelusolino, doing the handover task. As Lucas listened to Pelusolino's conversation with Magellan, he had no interest in the warden who spent most of the day in the toilet. Looking over Magellan, Lucas saw a head exposed behind the door. A capable person with a cow's head poked out his head and his nose came out. His peasy eyes stared at Lucas, blinking. It looks a bit naive. Then under this guy, the rhinoceros head was exposed again. This is also a capable person. Also staring at Lucas and his party with those peasy eyes. Lucas heard that these are the jailer beasts of Impel Down. They were originally Zone Demon Fruit Power. These are the capable people who have awakened Zone. But Lucas always felt that the awakening of these guys was a failure. After all, after the awakening of Demon Fruit Power, people become stupid. All of them looked silly, and still didn't speak. They looked like they were different from animals. Warden Magellan, can we escort Doflamingo to the underwater prison together? Lucas then looked at Magellan and said. No problem, you escort them to the underwater prison together with us, which is better. Magellan nodded and agreed. Trouble you, Lucas said, and they walked into the underwater prison together. Lucas occasionally listened to the conversation between Magellan and Pelusolino, and ignored the strangely dressed Hannibal who listened to this beer belly and talked about the unplayed Hannibal at all. This guy is indeed a good deputy warden, but the narcissistic character of this guy is really annoying to talk endlessly. Several members of the Don Quixote family will be imprisoned on the 5th floor, and for Doflamingo, we will imprison him on the 6th floor. As he walked, Magellan introduced to Lucas. The 5th floor is called Freezing Hell, where the big pirates with a bounty of over 100 million are held there, and the temperature there is extremely low. Magellan walked into the elevator, and Lucas followed. Lucas's attention now is completely off Magellan's explanation. He now thinks of a mezzanine space that no one knows about. Advertisement. Undersea prison, 5.5 floors. In the animation, Ivankov transformed it into his Newcama land. From time to time, he would find some criminals on the 5th floor and draw them closer to Newcama land. For the GM army, Lucas is not disgusted. What these people do is actually for ordinary people, so that ordinary people can have a better future. But Ivankov's approach touched his bottom line as Marine. Ivankov drew so many criminals closer to Newcama land, keeping them away from the extreme cold torture of the 5-story prison. Later, even because of Luffy's Impel Down, so many criminals ran away. In this run, Marine's efforts over the years have been lost by them. Although some of the pirates do go to sea for the truth or dreams of the world. But still the same sentence, because of Roger's words to build treasures, and the pirates who attracted so many pirates to One Piece, most of them burned and killed the scum of the looted scum. This run, the pain ordinary people will suffer can be imagined. Lucas was thinking, where is the entrance to the 5.5th floor? Excuse me, can I see the list of prisoners on the 5th floor? Lucas looked at Magellan. No problem. Magellan nodded and listened to Pelusolino saying that the Don Quixote family was destroyed by this kid, and Magellan still believed him very much. Thank you. Lucas took the list and looked through it. I didn't know it. At first glance, there were a lot of big pirates who were imprisoned for hundreds of millions on the 5th floor. They are all famous big pirates on the sea for so many years. What's more, there are big pirates more than 20 years ago. It's not easy to be imprisoned in such a cold place to live for so long. Lucas said, then scrolled down. After looking through the list of prisoners on the 5th floor, Lucas did not find a person named Emporio Ivankov. Lucas understood that at this timeline, Ivankov was still with Dorag and was not arrested. I don't know if anyone found the entrance to the 5.5th floor at this time. It doesn't matter if Ivankov isn't here, Lucas thinks it would be good to seal the 5.5 layer in advance. The elevator stopped, and a few people walked into the 5th floor. It was covered with ice and snow, and it was extremely cold. Lucas and a few people on board the prison provided them with cotton jackets, escorting Doflamingo into it. Chapter 53-52. What is called drawing a sword? Seeking collection. Seeking investment. Seeking monthly pass. Advertisement. The 5th floor is extremely cold, and the ground is covered with snow and ice all year round, and even the prison wall on the side is frozen by snow and ice. Lucas rubbed his hands and looked around. Where did Ivankov find the entrance to the 5.5th floor? In the animation plot, Zhaofeng was seriously injured and Luffy was attacked by wolves in a forest before being rescued by Ivankov's comrade Amazuna and brought to the 5.5th floor. But where the forest is and where the entrance is in that forest is unknown. Lucas directly opened the site and heard, looking for the entrance of the 5.5th floor connecting the 5th floor. On the way to escort members of the Don Quixote family, Lucas used his experience to increase his perception, and his perception was dozens of times stronger. It didn't take long before he found a few forests, and then continued to look for entrances in these forests. Go in. Hannibal kicked the members of the Don Quixote family into the cell. Everyone was handcuffed and kicked into the prison. Everyone was put into a cell and closed the door. Now please follow us to the 6th floor and imprison Doflamingo, Magellan said to Pelusolino, and then took a look at Lucas. A few people walked to the elevator and passed a forest. A pack of wolves passed by, glanced at them hurriedly, and did not stop. This is the wolf pack that Impel Down puts here. Because this layer is extremely cold and can't place surveillance phone worms, they put a lot of wolves here to deal with the criminals who escaped by chance. Lucas looked at the big tree in the distance and hadn't left for a long time. What's the matter? Don't worry. Pelusolino turned around and looked at Lucas puzzled. The few family members of the Don Quixote family were handcuffed with seastone handcuffs and were also imprisoned in the 5th tier prison. What can this kid worry about? No, it's not about Don Quixote family members. Lucas turned his head to look at them. What? Magellan, Hannibal and others looked at Lucas in confusion. Their Impel Down can be said to be the world's most heavily guarded, armed force, and prison with the lowest escape rate. Except for Golden Lion who broke his feet and escaped from Impel Down many years ago, no prisoner has ever escaped here in history. How distrustful of them this kid is. Maybe you Impel Down has always been the best prison in the world. Over time, you have been too confident in your own defenses. Lucas looked at Magellan and others and said, suddenly a shade appeared beside the big tree in the distance. Kicked the tree to the ground with a bang, and the tree fell, revealing a hole. Advertisement. It turned out that the lower part of the big tree was hollow, and there was a hole outside the hollow, which was buried by snow. Under the hollow hole, there was a hole that was diagonally downward connected. You haven't come to patrol the 5th floor for a long time. It's rare to do it once, and you don't even check the security of the 5th floor. Lucas pointed to this deep hole and turned to look at Magellan and others. I can't help but rest assured, I don't even bother to perceive what I see, hear, or perceive it. Lucas continued, the more he said it, the more accusatory. Just such a hole hidden in the snow can wipe out the hard work of many years of marine. Magellan ran up and looked at the entrance of the cave in shock. All the time, including him, the people of Impel Down have been extremely confident in this prison. In addition, the 5th floor is extremely cold, and wearing winter clothes feels a little cold, and the environment is extremely harsh, so few people come to patrol here. This time Pelusolino and Lucas escorted the Don Quixote family. Fortunately, he proposed to escort them in together. He found the hole, but the results were unthinkable. I think it is necessary to report upwards. Pelusolino solved his original relaxed expression and looked at the cave entrance with a serious face. I don't know if any pirates found this place during this period. Even if they didn't find it, the mere fact that Lucas found the entrance of the cave was very serious. This represents a great omission in Impel Down, to the extent that the upper management will be held accountable or even severely punished. Lucas took the lighting equipment handed by the staff of Impel Down, held it in one hand, went straight down, entered the hole, and went to the 5.5th floor. Let's take a look. If there are pirates who have escaped and got in, immediately summon the troops to guard the entire Impel Down and arrest all the criminals who escaped. Magellan ordered Hannibal, and the Impel Down personnel hurriedly responded. Life. Originally, it was just escorting the Don Quixote family, and the task could be completed immediately, but the discovery of this hole made the severity of the matter sore. Lucas walked obliquely down the hole, and after a while, bright light was found at the entrance of the hole in the distance. Porcelino followed by Lucas's men and the Impel Down staff. Hannibal and others led the subordinates, watching Doflamingo on it. Serious. Lucas stared at the light at the entrance of the cave seriously. It turned out that at this time, someone had already discovered this place. I don't know how many prisoners there are on the 5.5th floor. Lucas is ready to catch a large number of prisoners at any time. Holding a torch in one hand, Lucas gestured to the person behind him. Put out the fire and prepare to arrest the prisoner. Advertisement. Everyone behind Lucas understood the meaning of Lucas's gesture, and then one by one, the same gesture, notified the people behind him. Lucas directly put out the torch, put his hand on the handle of the knife, and walked towards the 5.5th floor softly. The 5.5 layer did not know how to create the empty space between the 5th and 6th layers, but it stands to reason that there should be no light here, and it should be pitch black. But they see the light here, it proves that there is a pirate life here. Not everyone can see and hear colors, and they can rely on seeing and hearing colors to perceive their surroundings. Therefore, light is always the first need of mankind in the dark. Eat, eat, this wolf meat is so fragrant. Ha ha ha, celebrate we found this paradise, cheers, brothers. Cheers. In the 5.5th floor space, there were bursts of celebration and the voice of pirates talking. Lucas saw, heard, and perceived that there were a total of 6 pirates there. Slowly poking his head out, watching the pirates. Before coming here, he had read a lot of information about the pirates imprisoned in Impel Down. Among them are these 6 people. These are big pirates who have rewarded more than 100 million in recent years, but these people are more arrogant. They are all picked up by Pelusalino or Sakazuki passing by at Tsubayati archipelago and thrown into Impel Down. Lucas rushed out, came to a pirate who was toasting a glass of water, and instantly drew his knife. The speed of nerve response multiplied, and the speed multiplied. Lucas's drawing of a knife was extremely terrifying. Wah! Who? The quilt in the hands of the pirate who toasted fell to the ground and looked down at the bloody mouth on his body. Have a good day. Lucas slowly put the knife into the scabbard, turned around, and the pirate who toasted fell to the ground and died. So strong. Buggy looked at Lucas in shock. He couldn't tell how strong the lieutenant colonel was. He didn't see it clearly when he drew his sword just now. Chapter 54-53. Great Pirate. You are a man or a ghost. For collection. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. The other pirates stood up one after another, staring at Lucas. Before they even started, they saw Marine and Impel Down armed men entering the cave. When the pirates saw Pelusalino and Magellan coming in, they threw away the cups one by one, threw the wolf meat away, got up and ran deeper. It's so good to be frozen in the cell and wait to die. I have to come out. Lucas smiled and looked at the few pirates who had escaped. Under his knowledge, none of these people could run away. Lose. They have escaped from prison and can be killed immediately. Magellan said quickly. It is recommended to check the entire 5th floor now and send someone to search to see if there are any prisoners out there. Lucas said. A shaved man disappeared in place, appeared in front of a pirate, and slashed. The pirate hit Lucas with a punch, his fist covered in armed color. Lucas looked at each other. This guy was great. Lucas covered his armed color with his left hand, grabbed the opponent's fist, squeezed it hard, and directly pinched the opponent's fist with a sound of bone cracking. With the multifold increase in armed color, the opponent's armed color is not as strong as his. His armed color is stronger than the opponent's, and he can break the opponent's defense. The big pirate cried out in pain, and Lucas stabbed him before calling his companions to help him. The tip of the knife pierced into the opponent's heart and penetrated from the back of the heart. The big pirate's eyes widened, staring at Lucas, his mouth opened, and he couldn't even scream. Lucas was about to pull out the knife, only to realize that this guy's hand was holding his knife tightly. Death has to delay time for your companions. What a man, Lucas praised, then kicked the opponent away and drew his knife. But first Marine, if I let you run away, it would be my fault. Lucas looked at the pirates who fled into the darkness playfully. When he first came in, he drew his sword and slashed a pirate to death. Now he has killed another pirate, and 4 large pirates fled in this 5.5-story space. A pirate walked at the back. They only discovered this place recently. There were only 6 of them, so except for the torch in the entrance space, the other places were all black. He had already run away from his companions at this time, and could not find a companion, so he could only touch the wall and walk slowly to discredit. There are many branches here, so he tries to keep his voice quieter so that Marine will not hear him. Advertisement. Hiding for a while is a moment, and now it is found by Marine, only the result of killing it on the spot. No matter whether they have eaten devil fruit or not, they can only kill them on the spot as a way of execution. Wait for me, you go slow. There was a sound of footsteps behind him, and he turned his head curiously and listened. Isn't he the last? He was a little puzzled. Why are you running so slow? The pirate had just said a word, suddenly panicked. Wait, the voice just now was not the voice of his companion at all. In this tense and extremely scared mood, he didn't keep calm and replied without distinguishing the voice. The pirate felt bad. This was Marine. He hurriedly stepped up, rubbed the wall with his hand, ran fast, and was stirred by a stone on the ground from time to time, and almost fell. Oh, where are you running so anxiously? Is there a banquet waiting for you? Lucas came to the front of the pirate and said with a smile. You are a human or a ghost. The pirate shouted to the front in a panic, slowly backing backwards, his body constantly shaking in fear. Among his comrades, the only pirate who knows the two-color hockey has long been sent back to the west by Lucas. He couldn't see anything in the pitch-black hole now. Hearing the sound of Lucas suddenly coming in front of him, his teeth kept shaking and bumping together in fright. I'm Marine, and I'm afraid of ghosts. It seems that you have killed a lot of innocent people, and there are ghosts in my heart. Lucas said with a shave and patted him on the shoulder. Ah. It's so scary. Although he knew this guy was a Marine, it was a bit too scary to chase him in this way. Came in front of him, then came behind him, and patted him on the shoulder. Even if Lucas said he was Marine, the pirate felt very infiltrating. Why bother? Wouldn't it be okay to sit on the ground and wait for death? Lucas shoved to the front of the opponent and slapped the opponent's face with a slap. Woo! The pirate was slapped by Lucas and hit the cave wall. A few teeth flew in his mouth and blood came out from the corners of his mouth. Advertisement. You are so boring. Lucas came to this guy with a shave, and pierced the pirate who was getting up to escape with a knife. There are 3 more people. Lucas saw and heard the increase, and he sensed the positions of the other 3. Going around and around, came to a hole. Lucas's perception, in the next hole separated by a wall, a pirate squatted. In the next cave, it was pitch black, and a pirate squatted on the ground, covering his mouth, trying not to let himself make a sound. He understood that the entrance to the cave was blocked by Marine and Impel Down armed men. Now they can't escape at all. They haven't been in this hole for a long time, and they are not familiar with the opposite at all. There are only 2 results of running around. One was encountered by the searched Marine and killed it on the spot. The second is that I was lost here and ran around. In the end, Marine also sealed the hole completely and starved to death in it. He kept breathing deeply and exhaling, trying to keep himself as calm as possible. Now only like him, find a corner, hide quietly, listening to the sound in his ear. As long as there is Marine coming, he will move quietly. He estimated that both Marine and Impel Down would search this place for a few days at most. After a few days, these people would lose their patience, leave here, seal the cave, and completely put an end to their hope of survival. And he, only through the past few days, can he take the opportunity to break out. To be starved to death is to die. When the time comes, he will fight for a while, even if there is a little possibility of being alive, he will have to try. Puff! A knife pierced through the wall of the cave and passed through his body. The pirate was shocked and touched the knife that passed through his stomach. He didn't make a sound and was discovered. Seeing and hearing. The pirate remembered the hockey that the dead companion had told them, and instantly realized it. There are 2 more. Lucas kicked the cave wall away, and the rubble buried the pirate in the cave. Lucas sensed the pirate who heard the sound of escaping in the distance. One shaving came to the other side. As a pirate, the moment you go to sea, you must be ready to be killed, isn't it? Lucas pierced the opponent's body with a knife and drew the knife out. The pirate covered his heart and fell to his death. Chapter 55-54. Return to Marineford. For collection. For reward. For monthly pass. Advertisement. Lucas sensed the situation in the 5.5th floor and chased in front of the last pirate. Yo, it's terrible. Put down your knife quickly, and discuss something to discuss. Pelusolino stood in front of the last pirate, his fingers shining brightly, illuminating the cave. Don't you ever want to catch me? The pirate shouted at Pelusolino, turned and ran behind him, seeing Marine standing behind him holding a knife, and was stunned. Is he tree flag too early? As soon as he finished speaking the cruel words, there was a person behind him silently blocking him. Oh haha, you run and you run, it's okay, I won't move the knife, Lucas smiled at the last pirate. This guy turned out to be flag, so he should make fun of him. After all, there is Kizaru in front of him, and he doesn't have to worry about the other party being able to run away. Lucas smiled and took his knife back into the scabbard. Seeing this, the pirate was overjoyed, raising the knife and rushing over. Get out of my way. The pirate shouted. You are too damn it. I will let you go. You still want to kill me. Tusk. Lucas saw the pirate who had advanced himself, with his arms covered in armed colors, and grabbed the pirate's knife. No sword flow. True sword, empty-handed hand in hand. Lucas directly clamped the pirate's knife with both hands and smiled at each other. He directly used Suo-Da's no sword flow in advance, and Suo-Da will use this trick again in the future, which is the move of Senior Lucas. Just think about it. Ha ha ha. You let me go. The pirate kicked Lucas's crotch. Lucas lifted his foot and kicked the opponent's foot back. He only heard a click, the opponent's leg was directly kicked off by him. No knife flow. Grab the knife with bare hands. Lucas grabbed the opponent's knife directly, and slashed at the pirate who had fallen diagonally. Pouch. The pirate had a knife in his heart and died unwillingly. Lucas, use your ability to perceive this place, and see if there are other pirates. Pelusolino breathed out. Advertisement. Okay. Lucas nodded, using the color of sight and hearing to increase the range of perception dozens of times, perceiving this space, shook his head, there is no pirate, and then searched the 5th floor. Well, let's go out. Pelusolino shone inside the cave and walked out with Lucas. Lucas is very cooperative in his actions, but in fact he keeps saying, this old ape doesn't have any strength from start to finish. The two walked out of the cave. Lucas handed the bodies of several pirates to the people of Impel Down. The search for the 5.5th floor was over, and then Impel Down guarded the 5.5th floor entrance. Send people to investigate and see if there are any passages to other places inside, and block those exits in time. If they can, they will spend a lot of manpower and materials to fill the entire 5.5 layer. We have notified the other warships that came to hand over the prisoners and asked them to encircle Impel Down on the periphery. Our people are also conducting searches on the 5.5th floor and other floors. I hope the matter will not be more serious. Magellan walked over. Said to Pelusolino. If the matter is more serious, the 5.5th floor has an entrance to the 6th floor, and if the prisoners on the 6th floor escape, then the problem will be extremely serious for them. But fortunately, Pelusolino is here, and no matter how serious the problem is, they can work together to suppress the pirates. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel Lucas. Without your reminder, Impel Down would have suffered a terrible blow. Magellan looked at Lucas and quickly thanked him. After this time, the Impel Down incident ended. Even if the Impel Down staff blocked the 5.5th floor and arrested the prisoners, they would still be punished by the upper level. Lucas is different. After this incident, his rank will rise even faster. Because it was his reminder, a terrible loophole was discovered for Impel Down, allowing Impel Down to reduce the risk of pirates escaping in the future. It's okay, it's just a Marine's duty. Lucas waved his hand, he couldn't say anything polite, and he didn't bother to say it. Now he just wants to quickly finish the matter and escort Doflamingo to the 6th floor prison. You idiots, you can't find such a big hole, what a bunch of idiots. Marine watching Doflamingo looked at Magellan and the others, and laughed wildly. You shut up. Lucas slapped Doflamingo's face, stopping Doflamingo's wild laugh. He has always hated this guy. Advertisement. And I also like to take off Doflamingo's sunglasses, and like to interrupt Doflamingo's magical laughter. Why are you upset? You caught me. You destroyed the excellent Marine of the Don Quixote family. Now you have found this hole. You have a great future, Lieutenant Colonel Lucas. Doflamingo continued to laugh, looking at Lucas. No, you should be called Commodore. Not right. You should be called Lucas Rear Admiral, or you should be called Lucas Vice Admiral. Doflamingo looked at Lucas and said with a smile. Happiness. Lucas directly slapped Doflamingo several times and glared at him. Lousy's promotion, it's your shit. Quote. Doflamingo looked at each other silently. Forget it, his yin and yang strange guy has no effect on this guy at all, and will only be beaten for nothing. Lucas took his men and walked on the 5th floor of the snow, and they began to help Impel Down to search the 5th floor. After completing the search on the 5th floor earlier, he could return to Marineford earlier when the incident was over. After searching the entire 5th floor for a long time, a total of 3 pirates who escaped were caught. Magellan and Pelusolino took people to the 6th floor. After searching for a long time, no pirates who escaped on the 6th floor were found. Normally, the 6th floor guards are extremely tight. But there was one discovery that made them feel the seriousness of the matter. They found an entrance connecting the 5.5th floor to the 6th floor on the 6th floor. The Impel Down side has now seen the entrance and will soon be blocked. At night, the entire underwater prison was searched. Only the individual pirates on the 5th floor were killed when they tried to escape. No pirates who tried to escape were found elsewhere. Lucas kicked Doflamingo into a prison on the 6th floor. The Impel Down people held back a smile, walked in, and tied Doflamingo's limbs with iron chains. 10 minutes later, Impel Down at the dock. After the handover between Lucas and Magellan was completed, they returned to the warship, and the warship moved towards the Gate of Justice. After passing the Gate of Justice, they would pass through the Marine dedicated current and return to Marineford. Chapter 56-55. Sanji Luffy Painful Kid. Seeking collection. Seeking investment. Seeking monthly pass. Advertisement. Marine Headquarters, Port of Marineford. At this time, there are 4 little ghosts sitting on the shore in the port, looking at the sea in the distance, not talking. Sanji, did we come too early? It's impossible for Lucas to arrive so early. Luffy sat on the side, his calf cocked. Don't talk nonsense to me, go back and I will give you a delicious supper, and wait for me honestly. Sanji glared at Luffy. Supper. Big brother Lucas is coming back soon. Luffy didn't feel sleepy when he heard that there was a supper, looking at the sea full of energy. Sanji, we don't actually need supper, the 2 of us miss brother Lucas very much. Sugar said to Sanji, took a bag of grapes from Sanji, and ate happily. Quote. Baby 5 looked at Sugar and Luffy silently, these 2 foodies. Fortunately, she and Sanji are the ones who sincerely wait for brother Lucas to come back. Come here, look. Sanji quickly stood up and pointed to the distance. A warship slowly appeared in front of them. Seeing Lucas's warship, he was the most excited one. During this period of time, Sanji's cooking skills have improved a lot. Even Luffy, who used to complain about his cooking skills before, has pestered him all day to ask him to cook for them. That's my sister. Sugar stood up and shouted happily, looking at Monet, who was wearing a military uniform on the warship. Brother Lucas. Baby 5 looked at the man on the warship and exclaimed excitedly. On Lucas's warship, Porcelino was sitting on the warship, looking at the little ghosts on the pier in the distance. Yo, Lucas, your little brother is here to welcome us. Ha. Lucas looked at the little ghosts on the dock, happily thinking of them waving. To be honest, he has missed these little ghosts a lot since he went to sea these days. As the warship docked at the pier, Lucas jumped down and picked up Sanji. Hey, brother Lucas, I'm so old, don't hold me like a child. Sanji heard Luffy's laughter and pushed Lucas hurriedly. Ha, the brat is heavier a lot, is it because of the recent increase in cooking skills? I like to eat self-cooked food. Lucas rubbed Sanji's head and said with a smile. Hey, my previous cooking skills are also very good, you can't speak very much. Sanji pouted. Advertisement. Ha, yes. Lucas laughed again. He relied on his ability to make himself unable to feel any taste, so he could eat the food that Sanji used to cook. It used to be unpalatable. Please refer to Sanji's memories of cooking for his mother. Hey, when will you leave next time? Luffy on one side asked, clutching Lucas's clothes. They train under the brutal guy Sakazuki all day, except for being punished and eating. It is rare to see the outside world. Listen to the upper-level arrangements. Lucas said with a smile. Then you have to tell us about your experience outside, it feels very fun. Luffy said. No problem. Lucas nodded, grabbing Luffy with the other hand, and Sanji Luffy put him on one of his shoulders. Go home, Sanji, we should try your craft. Lucas said. No problem. Sanji exclaimed happily. Sister. On the side, the sugar bulged with grapes in his mouth, and flew into Monet's arms. Little guy, don't cry. When I'm away, have you been obedient? Monet asked, dialing the little sugar nose. Yeah, Sugar nodded. Monet picked up Sugar and led her to follow Lucas. Baby 5 followed Lucas closely, and after a few moments, he could not help but laugh. They're all home, what shall we do? Buggy looked sadly at Lucas, who was like a family, and turned to look at Ajin. Living on the boat, or listening to the upper-level arrangements. Ajin said, without any expression on his face. No. Buggy looked at this boring guy with an incredible expression. Is this boring guy only having tasks in his heart? What are you two doing in a daze? Keep up. Lucas turned his head and shouted at the two men. Huh. Buggy and Akin looked at Lucas puzzledly. Come to my house, my little brother will cook personally, and invite you to a big meal. Lucas smiled and looked at them both. Why do these two guys feel a little stunned? Kid who followed Lucas spit out. Advertisement. Feast. Buggy and Ajin looked at each other, and hurriedly followed. Well, I'm the only one left. Pelusolino shrugged helplessly, and he was going to go back to his office. Go back to each house and take a day off. Tomorrow they will carry out the handover of the buggy bomb and report on all previous work. Brother Lucas, who is this red hair? Sanji looked at the red-haired kid unhappy. Oh, he's the same as you, homeless, I picked him up. Lucas rubbed Kid's head and said with a smile. There's another guy who eats and drinks. Luffy looked at Kid unhappy. There is another B************ D who squeezes the bed. Sanji looked at Kid and said. You two bastards, don't underestimate me. Kid glared at the two guys angrily. I am demon fruit power. In the future, I will become Lucas's most powerful marine subordinate. What? Hearing this furious, Sanji jumped off Lucas's shoulder and punched Kid in the head. You B*********** D, Lucas's most powerful marine subordinate should be me. Sanji soon fought with Kid. These two bear kids. Lucas looked at Sanji and Kid in annoyance. It's not good to start a fight if you don't agree. Dare to hit Sanji, I'm fighting with you. Luffy yelled and jumped off Lucas's shoulder, look at my rubber pistol. The kid played by Luffy and Sanji couldn't fight back. Their training under Sakazuki was not in vain. Every day is a lot of training. With Luffy's current fist, he can shoot out a rubber pistol. Although the power is not good, but finally able to successfully fight out. When Luffy just ate devil fruit, a rubber pistol came, and his fist fell on the ground softly. Lucas, Sanji and the others laughed at him for a long time. Kid's face was hit by Luffy directly, and then Sanji kicked over again. Sanji, do you need me? Baby 5 looked at the two. Sanji and Luffy didn't get beaten, she felt a little distressed. Just stand aside and watch. Sanji shouted. You just watch it, don't stop them. Monet looked at Lucas speechlessly. Little boy, it's normal to fight two fights. It doesn't hurt. They will fight again. Lucas smiled at the three people who were fighting together, squeezed his fists and rattled. Chapter 57-56. Luffy. I don't understand. For collection. For reward. For monthly pass. Advertisement. Lucas came to the three of them, his fists creaked, and one punched in the head. Okay. It hurts. Luffy covered his head with his hands. At this moment, he once again remembered the fear of being dominated by Lucas. Big brother, why are you hitting me? Sanji looked at Lucas aggrievedly. Does big brother think he is not cute anymore? It's okay. I want to fight too. You guys hit you. I hit mine. Don't care about this little pain. Keep fighting. Lucas squeezed his fists and smiled at the three of Luffy, Sanji and Kid. Hiss. Kid rubbed his head. This was the first time he was beaten after following Lucas. I'm sorry, brother Lucas, I shouldn't fight with them. Kid quickly apologized to Lucas. He respected Lucas very much. Similarly, he had seen Lucas's strength, and he was also very good. Fear of Lucas. Sorry, brother Lucas, I shouldn't fight him. Sanji glared at Kid secretly and turned to apologize to Lucas. That's right, you will get along with each other from now on, you will be your own people from now on, don't do it with your own people, understand? Lucas asked, knocking on the big bag on Sanji's head. Understood. Sanji nodded quickly, then kept avoiding Lucas's hand. Understand. Lucas looked at Kid. Understood. Kid nodded quickly. Understood. Lucas looked at Luffy. I don't understand. Luffy shook his head. Quote. Sanji and Kid looked at Luffy in shock. Is this B************** D really incomprehensible, or is he just angry with Lucas? I didn't understand. Lucas looked at these people with a smirk and squeezed his fists. 3 punches fell and hit the heads of Luffy, Sanji, and Kid. Another bag grew from the big bag on their heads. It looks like a gourd. Not bad. Buggy, who was standing behind, laughed and teased. Boom. Lucas punched Buggy in the head. He taught the kid, what did this guy cut in? Buggy pitifully clutched the big bag on his head and squatted aside. The punch Lucas hit him just now directly added an armed look, and Buggy was so painful that he wanted to live. After Lucas finished teaching Buggy, he squatted in front of the three little ghosts and looked at them. Understand? Understood. Sanji and Kid nodded quickly. Good fellow. They didn't understand, but the three were beaten together. Advertisement. No. As soon as Luffy spoke, he was stared at by Sanji and Kid. Don't understand. Luffy shook his head. This idiot. Sanji and Kid scolded in unison. How can I not understand such a simple thing? 3 punches fell. Sanji and Kid were holding their heads, and a big bag appeared next to the gourd bag. Each of them grabbed Luffy's face and stared at him angrily. Everyone is your own. You can't hit each other. Clear. Luffy looked at Sanji puzzledly. Aren't they in the same group? Why did Sanji unite with this red hair to deal with himself? Sanji. Before Luffy finished speaking, Sanji squeezed his face. I heard Sanji say something like this. I don't understand that the supper is gone. Understand. Under threat. Luffy quickly agreed. Understood. Lucas looked at the three. Understood. The three said in unison. That's right. Go home for dinner. Lucas patted the shoulders of the three of them, stood up, and walked towards the house. Sanji took Lucas's left hand, Kid took Lucas's right hand, Luffy walked behind and stared at Lucas. Monet walked behind with sugar in his arms and looked at Luffy with a smile. This kid looked like a beating. Is this the way of education in their family? It's quite useful. Pelusalino, who was watching the excitement, said with a smile in the distance. Thinking of Sakazuki, he shook his head helplessly. Sure enough, what kind of adult there is, what kind of young marine will be taught? Although Lucas doesn't just kill blindly like Sakazuki, Lucas teaches children in the same way as Sakazuki. Are you all ignorant? It's easy to handle, and it's over if you get it. All the way back to Sakazuki's small courtyard, Lucas greeted Sakazuki. Yo, kid, you're back. Sakazuki looked at Lucas who walked in and looked at him in surprise. They had contacted before, so Sakazuki asked Sanji and the others to meet Lucas. Sakazuki really missed him a little after seeing each other for so long. Advertisement. How is it? How are your abilities developed lately? Sakazuki stood up and asked, patting Lucas on the shoulder. The iron-blooded soldier, unable to say anything like, I miss you so much, can only ask Lucas how he has been recently. It can be increased to 40 times now. Lucas said to Sakazuki. Not bad. Sakazuki patted Lucas on the shoulder with satisfaction, and led him into the house. In the evening, Lucas and the others were sitting around a big table in the yard. Lucas sat Sanji on the left, Monet on the right, and Sugar on the right. Sakazuki teased Baby -5. For so many years, since the adoption of Lucas, he has tried to make his smile more amiable every day. It finally succeeded recently. Baby 5 is always amused by Sakazuki. Sakazuki still remembers that when Lucas was young, he was always scared to avoid him by his terrifying smile. Aside, Luffy and Kid stared at each other. Just now Kid found that the B********* D Luffy was staring at his big brother. He couldn't bear it, so he stared back. Brother Lucas, try this. Sanji picked up a grilled fish and placed it in front of Lucas. Brother Lucas likes fish very much, so there are more than a dozen dishes on the table today, and there are generally all kinds of fish delicacies. Well, Sanji's cooking skills are getting better and better recently, and this can catch up with the chef on my boat. Lucas took a bite of the fish and praised. Sure enough, Sanji is a food genius. Really? Sanji asked, looking at Lucas in surprise, clutching the other's clothes. Really, your cooking skills are so good, much better than the cooks on my boat. Lucas nodded and said, while picking up the fish, he swallowed half of the fish in one bite. Then can I be the cook on the Big Brother's ship? Big Brother will take me next time I set sail. Sanji said excitedly. He was adopted by Big Brother Lucas and taken to Marineford, where Lucas taught him the truth and asked someone to train him. What Sanji wants most now is to get on Lucas's Big Brother's boat, become Lucas's chef, and make every meal for his big brother. Bring me too. Kid didn't even care about Luffy, and quickly looked at Lucas. Just now, before the meal was ready, Lucas drags him to Sakazuki, and Kid will train with Sakazuki just like Sanji in the future and let Sakazuki take care of them. An iron-blooded soldier, born as a nanny. Chapter 58-57. Come to East Blue to find me for a drink. Ask a monthly pass. A collection. A reward. Advertisement. In the evening, in Sakazuki's yard. Lucas sat in a chair, chatting with Sakazuki, and telling him about his experience after leaving the headquarters. Monet came over and handed Lucas a plate of fruit. Thank you. Lucas took it, took a bite of the fruit, and looked at the little ghosts who were sitting aside push-ups. Kid, you kid do it well for me, the posture is not standard at all, what about your Kid QJ planet? Lucas just finished teaching Kid. Sakazuki took off the slippers directly from his feet and threw them directly on Kid's head. Do it well. Quote exclamation mark quote. Lucas looked at Sakazuki in surprise. When did he learn this trick? When Lucas Kid himself was a kid, Sakazuki kicked him directly when he made a mistake. Ha ha ha, I learned from Garp Senpai the other day. Sakazuki said with a smile. Quote. Lucas was thankful. Fortunately, Sakazuki learned this trick late, otherwise Sakazuki would use this trick when he was a child. The next day, early in the morning. After breakfast, Lucas walked out of the yard, followed by a few little kids. What are you doing with you? Lucas looked at Luffy, Sanji, Kid in confusion. We are going out to play with you. The three shouted in unison. Lucas understood that these three brats wanted to escape Sakazuki's training. Don't even think about it. To become a good Marine, you must first have a strong strength. Give me back. Lucas kicked them back one by one. Let's go. Lucas took Buggy and left Sakazuki's house. Ah-jin stayed at home and helped Sakazuki train some little ghosts. And Lucas needs to take Buggy to meet Sengoku Admiral first. I saw a lot of Marines I knew along the way, greeted them one by one, and came to Sengoku's office. Report Sengoku Admiral, Lieutenant Colonel Lucas and Marine Buggy have brought it. Outside the door, a Marine said. In the office, Sengoku Admiral was drinking tea, eating senbei, and looking at Lucas's information. On the side are the weapons specialists of the Marine Scientific Corps who have been waiting for a long time. Please come in. Sengoku nodded and said. The door opened and Lucas walked in, followed by Buggy. Advertisement. The two saluted Sengoku. Sengoku glanced at Lucas, then at Buggy behind Lucas. This is the talent who invented the Buggy bomb. But. What's wrong with your nose? Sengoku looked at Buggy in confusion. Buggy had been ordered by Lucas before, so he was prepared in advance and was not angry. In many cases, Buggy will be very angry when asked about his nose, but in front of him is Marine Admiral Sengoku. Buggy smiled and said, Report Admiral, it's natural. Yeah, Sengoku nodded with a smile and then pointed to a few people. These are weapons experts from the Marine Scientific Corps. You can discuss the Buggy bomb first. Introducing Buggy to the weapons experts, Sengoku then looked at Lucas. Originally, because you found a talent like Buggy, the headquarters decided to upgrade you to the next level. But you actually arrested Doflamingo and his Don Quixote family members, and later discovered a huge safety hazard for them in Impel Down, and assisted Impel Down in catching the fugitive. The more Sengoku looks at Lucas, the more satisfied. Tomorrow there will be an award meeting at the headquarters. The headquarters has decided to promote you to Rear Admiral. All your subordinates will be upgraded to 2 ranks. What? Just after talking to the weapon expert for a while, Buggy heard Sengoku's words and looked at each other incredulously. Originally planned to mention him to the major, but just now Sengoku said that Lucas's subordinates would be promoted to 2 consecutive ranks, so he would be Buggy. Colonel directly. Not long after first joined Marine, because of Lieutenant Colonel Lucas, I went directly to the Colonel. Buggy is covered. This is simply incredible. The people who have been with Lucas for the longest time, how can they be treated like this? Only he, Buggy, has such a treatment that he dare not even think of. Yes, Colonel Buggy. Sengoku smiled at Buggy and said. Buggy looked at Lucas, and the more he looked, the more he admired it. Lieutenant Colonel Lucas treated him very well. Lucas can do meritorious service again, and now he is with Lieutenant Colonel Lucas and he has been promoted directly to Colonel. Lucas is too lucky. You can no longer call a Lieutenant Colonel, you should call Lucas Rear Admiral. Buggy looked at Lucas with joy. Lucas Rear Admiral, I am now a Colonel. Advertisement. Yeah, Lucas smiled and nodded, looking at Buggy. He promised that after Buggy became Marine, he would not treat him badly, just a Colonel, it's okay. Lucas Rear Admiral. Hearing Sengoku's shout, Lucas quickly looked at each other. The word Rear Admiral is much better than Lieutenant Colonel. I have been a Marine for less than a year, and I have made great contributions many times, all the way from the bottom to Rear Admiral. Among Marines of the same age, you can be said to be the only one. But in the future, you must not be proud, and you must not be complacent because of your performance this year. Next, I give you a task. Admiral, please speak. Lucas looked at Sengoku. Next, I will give you 1 month. You will lead your subordinate Buggy to promote Buggy bombs in the Marine Science Unit. As long as the Buggy bomb is popularized in the Army, it will be of great help to Marines' action against pirates. We Marine will give you another reward. After Sengoku finished, Lucas nodded and took the lead. Lucas took Buggy and left Sengoku Admiral's office. Today, I just let Buggy meet with the weapons experts of the scientific unit to get to know them. After the award meeting is held tomorrow, they will promote the Buggy bomb in the scientific unit. When he came to a street, Lucas took out the phone worm and dialed a person's number. Hey, East Blue, somewhere in the Marine base, in a room filled with smoke, the shadowy figure in the smoke leaned on the sofa, with his feet on the table, several cigars dangling from his mouth. Lucas. Smoker was smoking, and then Smoker remembered that Lucas had also been delegated. When Lucas was transferred to South Blue, Smoker specifically checked where the other party was going, and felt unfair for the little brother for a while. Don't be upset because of being sent to South Blue for a while. Come to East Blue to find me. Brother invites you to drink. Smoker comforted Lucas. Grand Line, Marineford, somewhere on the street. Who is this? Buggy looked at the phone worm in Lucas's hand with a shocked look. As Marine, you actually said that East Blue was looking for me. Don't you have any rules in mind? Ha ha ha. Lucas laughed happily. Sure enough, he deserves to be the boss of Smoker, and even the way of comforting the younger brother is such a headache for the upper class. Go directly across the sea to comfort the little brother. Say a good thing. Chapter 59-58. Your eldest sister Hina has hung up the phone, for collection. For investment. For reward. Advertisement. Oh, Smoker sat up and waited curiously to hear what Lucas called a good thing. After taking a few puffs of smoke, Smoker said, Speak, share something good with me. I'm going to be Rear Admiral. Lucas said happily. Oh, what then? Smoker nodded and took a few puffs. I am transferred back to headquarters. Lucas said. Congratulations, Smoker said. The chat between two straight men is so simple. After a few words, I hung up. East Blue, Logue Town, Marine Basie's office was filled with smoke. Smoker was smoking, looking at the undecent phone bug being smoked. What did he just say? Smoker thought about it. Rear Admiral. Smoker stood up suddenly, and the little brother who had been behind his A in Marineford all day was promoted to Rear Admiral. Smoker is all numb. My boy only became Marine this year, right? He was decentralized just like him not long ago, but he was promoted to Rear Admiral so quickly. How much credit this kid has made, he has risen so fast. Smoker felt that he couldn't keep up with his train of thought. Quickly picked up the phone worm and dialed the number of Hina phone worm. Can't make a call. Smoker looked at the phone worm in confusion, who was chatting with Hina. In the first half of the Grand Line, in the waters of Alabasta, a warship sails slowly. On the warship, Hina, with long pale pink hair, purple sunglasses, a rose-red professional attire, and a white, Justice, cloak stood on the bow, holding a lady's cigarette in her mouth. Hina held a phone worm in her hand, and the phone worm turned into a handsome blue-haired Lucas. Yo, Lucas, how can you guys have the time to contact me? Hina is very happy. Hina looked at the phone worm. How long has it been? The follower who once followed her and Smoker. How long hasn't it been since they officially became Marine and went out to sea? I have seen my little brother. Sister, I have good news to you. Lucas took the phone worm, and the phone worm in his hand changed to Hina's appearance, just as if he had met her in person. What good news? Hina is very curious. Hina looked at the phone bug and asked, the sea breeze blowing her long pale pink hair. I'm going to be Rear Admiral. Lucas said happily. Quote. Hina looked at the phone bug in surprise, the cigarette fell out of her mouth, and she remained silent for a long time. Advertisement. She and Smoker can't even see Commodore's shadow right now. As a result, they became Rear Admiral when they became the younger brothers of Marine for less than a year. You say it again, I always feel that I have a hallucination. Hina said helplessly, not that she didn't believe it, but that this matter was too incredible. Lucas smiled and repeated what he had just said, and Hina silently hung up the contact. In Alabasta waters, Hina's warship was sailing slowly, and the sea breeze was blowing her long hair. Hina rubbed her head and looked at the sky. Brother, use the words you used to teach us. Today, your tea smells like tea. Hina said dubiously. If the little brother is in front of her, she really wants to punch him in the head. East Blue, Logue Town. Squeak. The office door was opened, and a little girl walked in with her nose covered, frowned and looked at the smoke-filled office. She stretched out her hand to open the window. She watched the smoke keep coming out and looked back for Smoker. After a while, the smoke almost dissipated. She finally found Smoker, but to her surprise, at this time Smoker, lying on the sofa, didn't even smoke cigarettes, like a salted fish who lost her dream. Smoker, are you okay? The little girl hurriedly walked over and shook Smoker. Huh, Smoker looked at him blankly. This little girl is a poor homeless girl he adopted after he came to East Blue. Her name is Tashigi and she is 12 years old. Smoker, I told you not to let you smoke so much, you just don't listen. Tashigi pouted angrily and glared at Smoker. Hey, Smoker rubbed little Tashigi's head, then lay on the sofa in a daze. Are you okay? Tashigi looked at Smoker worriedly. What the hell was going on with this guy today, looking listless? It's okay. Smoker patted little Tashigi's head and drove her out. So sad, my little brother has become Rear Admiral, and he is still in East Blue. Thinking of returning to the headquarters in the future, he wanted to call his little brother, Lucas Rear Admiral, but he was unwilling to do so. The younger brother surpassed the older brother, who can stand it? Grand Line, Marine Headquarters Marineford. On the street, Lucas put away the phone bug and walked home happily with Buggy. Before entering the door, Lucas and Buggy saw several figures flying out of the yard from a distance. The three little ghosts flew towards each other. Lucas and Buggy quickly backed up and dodged. Advertisement. Bang bang bang. Luffy, Sanji, and Kid bumped their faces on the ground, and one by one sat up quickly, covering their faces and screaming. Yes, this is the legendary face break. Lucas clapped and smiled at the three. Oh, it hurts. Sanji covered his face and looked at Lucas pitifully. It's okay, don't cry. Lucas rubbed Sanji's head dumbly, then looked at the blushing faces of the other two little ghosts, comforting. When I was little, face breaks were daily routines. See how handsome I am now. Lucas rubbed the heads of the three little ghosts, patted them, and made them stand up. Lucas is now as handsome as the reader, so the face break can't stop a handsome man from getting better and better. Puff. Luffy couldn't help laughing. Snapped. Lucas slapped Luffy's head. Say, did you fail to complete Sakazuki's training mission? The three little ghosts looked at Lucas pitifully. It's okay, take your time. Lucas said indifferently, leading them back to the yard. No more, these three brats didn't do any training while I was out. In the yard, Sakazuki teased BABY5, turning his head to look at Lucas and said. Oh. Lucas then looked at the three little ghosts playfully. Luffy, Sanji, and Kid felt a little bit cold in the air inexplicably. Whoosh whoosh. Lucas kicked the three bear kids out with 3 kicks. Come back for dinner after training. Lucas exclaimed angrily. These 3 lazy guys are too damn it. When he was young, even if Sakazuki went out, he continued to train. These 3 guys are so lazy, they should fight. During meal time, there were a few people around a table in the yard. Lucas picked up a piece of meat and handed it to Sanji's bowl. Eat more. If you eat more, you will have the strength to continue training. Thank you, brother Lucas. Sanji bit the meat and chewed it. Chapter 60-59. Lucas Rear Admiral, Colonel Buggy. For collection. For reward. For monthly pass. Advertisement. Lucas then put 2 large pieces of meat in the bowls of Luffy and Kid, but he was still not so cruel. Halfway through the training of the 3 boys, he called them back and asked them to finish their meal before training. Thank you, brother Lucas. Luffy and Kid raised their heads and said, then ate with their heads down. Quote. Lucas looked at Luffy in surprise. Since bringing this kid to Marineford, Luffy has been at odds with him everywhere, like a sting. Today this guy thanked him so rarely. Really, all you need to eat are friends. On the second day, the awards ended. Wearing a military uniform and a white Marine Justice cloak, Lucas walked towards the house. The award meeting was not held for him alone, it was just an award meeting for several Marines who had served and promoted. At this time Lucas has been promoted from Lieutenant Colonel to Rear Admiral. In Marine, in addition to promotion and awards, there are also medals awarded as in the previous life. Lucas took the medal in his hand and hung it around Sanji's neck. Another hand, the Marine cap was placed on Luffy's head. The larger cap covered Luffy's entire head. Luffy hurriedly held the cap with both hands, except that it was a bit big. Colonel Buggy, we are going to talk to the Marine Science Unit tomorrow, are you ready? Lucas turned to look at Buggy, who was wearing a cloak behind him. Don't be nervous, Lucas Rear Admiral. Buggy said to Lucas. After the two said, they looked at each other and laughed. In fact, they just yelled that each other's military ranks were enjoyable. Fortunately, they are all around them now. If this is seen by outsiders, they will definitely be ridiculed. Behind Lucas, followed by Monet wearing a marine hat. Monet was originally Seaman Recruit, and he has been promoted several levels. Now he is only Seaman First Class. She didn't get the skills that could help Marine, and she didn't make a lot of work, and she was still a small soldier for the time being. Akin is also Seaman First Class. At the awards party, Lucas was satisfied that the few uncles who made weapons he brought back from Clockwork Island were exceptionally named warrant officers because they also made buggy bombs. Advertisement. Kid looked at Lucas eagerly. Sanji had a medal, Luffy had a hat given by his eldest brother, he had nothing. Wear it. Monet pressed his hat directly on Kid's head. Kid pushed Monet's hat straight away. I want to be a Rear Admiral like Big Brother, not an ordinary seaman. Quote. Monet was struck again. An ice hammer conjured up from Monet's hand, and it stabbed Kid's A. Oh, Kid screamed and ran out, clutching his A. Ha ha ha. Lucas and others laughed. On the second day, at the gate of Marine Scientific Corps. Wearing a black suit, wearing a white cloak of justice, and a marine hat, Lucas watched the weapon expert approaching in the distance. Behind him is Colonel Buggy, Monet Seaman First Class and Akin Seaman First Class, as well as his weapons experts. Lucas did not see Dr. Vegapunk among the weapons experts on the opposite side. But it is right to think about it. Vegapunk is the best talent in the scientific force. He claims to be 500 years ahead of today's science and technology, and is called a scientist who has surpassed human wisdom for 500 years. It's just a buggy bomb, and it's not enough for Dr. Vegapunk to come and communicate with them in person. Hello, Lucas Rear Admiral, please come with us. The weapon expert at the head was a bald old man and walked in with Lucas. When they came to the weapon research and development room of these people, Lucas chatted with the person in charge for a while, then sat aside, watching Buggy and the weapon experts chat. Not to mention studying the shells, Lucas couldn't even shoot with the cannon. Bored, he could only go out and look at the Marine Science Unit. He is a swordsman, he does not need guns or artillery, and the increase in shells is only to enhance the long-range attack capability of warships. I have no interest in weapons such as guns and cannons at all. Monet came out, sat next to Lucas, and picked up the hat on his head. It's Marine Rear Admiral, and he wears a marine hat. Monet took Lucas's hat and looked at him. What's wrong with me wearing a seaman hat? Sakazuki also wears a seaman hat, even Sengoku Admiral wears a seaman hat. Lucas took back his seaman hat, put it on, and said with a smile. Sengoku Admiral kept the habit of wearing a navy hat and became Marshal Sengoku many years later. In the original anime, Sakazuki maintained the habit of wearing a sea soldier hat, and after the war ended, Sakazuki became Marshal Sakazuki. Advertisement. Lucas didn't realize what was wrong with the seaman's hat. Although it wasn't very good looking, it was a hat with a plus 30% chance of becoming a marshal. It is said that there is a hat of inheritance among the pirates. In fact, Marine, they also have this heritage hat. Everyone wears a heritage hat on their heads. Of course, it's just a joke, it's impossible for everyone to be a marshal. Lucas looked around and didn't know where the famous Dr. Vegapunk was. Until the day Buggy and the weapon experts finished talking, Lucas hadn't even seen Vegapunk's shadow. With a little regret, Lucas left the Marine Science Unit. For Vegapunk, Lucas actually just has some interest. In the next few days, the Marine Science Corps has completely mastered the buggy bombs. At the request of the upper level, Lucas will take several weapon experts from the Science Corps and Buggy to a Marine base. Bring the first batch of buggy bombs made by Marine there, and then conduct the first Marine test fire buggy bombs, and then promote the buggy bombs. In fact, Lucas couldn't get involved in the 3 processes of buggy research, test firing, and promotion. He also provided a force of protection on the road. Early in the morning, Sakazuki's house. Lucas walked into the yard, stretched, still in that black suit and cloak. Squeak. The door was pushed open. Monet walked in with a suit of clothes, and frowned when he saw Lucas, who was still the same. Put it on. Tenton is all that piece of clothing, I'm tired of seeing it. Monet tucked the clothes into Lucas's arms and glared at him. Lucas looked at Monet in confusion. I think it looks pretty in black. Straight man's aesthetic. Monet glared at Lucas and pushed him into the room. Quickly change, I'm tired of it. Quote. Lucas held his clothes and closed the door to change. On the side, the three little ghosts sitting in the chairs watched the eldest brother enter the house helplessly. What do you mean by being straight? What a dignified rear admiral. I'm hungry again. Chapter 6160. I will not hurt you. Seeking collection. Seeking monthly pass. Seeking investment. Advertisement. Lucas changed his number into a handsome suit, put on a white marine, justice, cloak, and walked out of the house, Monet admiring his current appearance with his arms folded. Not bad. So handsome. This suit fits your identity as rear admiral. Monet walked over and straightened Lucas's collar. Oh, I'm full. Sanji stood up and walked to the side to train angrily. I fed a mouthful of dog food early in the morning, disgusting. Hey, I'm full. Kid nodded in agreement, and walked aside to train. What do you mean? Obviously hungry. Luffy looked at the two in confusion. Hey. Inside the room, Sakazuki looked at the two through the window and shook his head helplessly. Sakazuki saw it. Monet Seaman First Class likes Lucas, but this kid may have a problem with his trained brain, except for training, which is to develop abilities, and then he is thinking about how to deal with pirates. I haven't thought of anything about men and women in my mind. Alexia. Nonsense, this guy has known since he was a child to lie to Marine's daughter for pocket money. Outside, Akin and Buggy were both in Marine uniforms, waiting for Lucas. Monet Seaman First Class and Lucas Rear Admiral, this is. Before Akin could finish the next few words, Buggy answered the words mean. Unrequited love, Monet is still too innocent, so I can't deceive Rear Admiral's heart at all. Buggy didn't even look at it. Through observations over the past few days, he had already seen Monet's thoughts on Lucas. How did you tell? Akin looked at Buggy in confusion. Didn't you find it? Buggy looked at Ajin with a brick. What? Ajin looked at Buggy in confusion. Quote. Buggy looked at each other speechlessly, didn't even notice such a simple thing. From the day I boarded the boat, although Colonel Lucas occasionally took a break, he maintained 3 times our training volume every day. He was eager to improve his strength. Buggy turned his head and looked at the courtyard. Lucas, I don't know why he is so obsessed with stronger strength, but I know that Lucas Rear Admiral only has the mindset of becoming stronger and stronger, and he didn't think much about men and women. Lucas and Monet walked out of the yard, followed by Buggy and Akin. After walking a few steps, Lucas turned his head to Buggy and shuddered. Quote. Buggy looked at him helplessly. Was he guessed and beaten? Or did he guess wrong? Several people walked to the port. At this time, several weapons experts from the Marine Scientific Corps had been waiting for a long time. Advertisement. Let's go. Lucas came to the warship and said to several people. The warship sailed out of the port and slowly moved towards its destination. This time they are going to the G1 Marine branch in New World. In the original plot, after the top of the war, Sakazuki made a decision to replace the G1 Marine branch in New World with the post-war Marineford. At this time G1 is still the Marine branch. The sky is clear and the sun shines on the deck. The Marine on the warship is divided into 3 parts. One part is for training and the other part is for guarding. The third group is those who have finished training and are resting. After a while, this third group people will exchange tasks with those on guard. The trainees take a break and then continue to change tasks. In the sun, Lucas was holding a huge boulder and driving a group of Marines to run on the deck. With the sea breeze blowing his blue hair, Lucas roared, grabbed a piece of gravel, and threw it at the Marines. If you think that a gravel is not terrible, you are wrong. Puff. Fly at any time, hit the deck, as scary as a bullet. The Marines heard the sound of rubble hitting the deck, and each of them speeded up in fright, and continued to run with their weights on their backs. It's horrible. A recruit ran at the end of the team carrying a bag of gravel in a cold sweat. Lucas Rear Admiral's fruit ability can bring him a great increase in strength. He can also add a speed increase to the gravel. The gravel he throws is not something we can catch. Ajin ran. After finishing talking next to that recruit, he passed directly over the past. Akin has overtaken us by 5 laps. An old Marine said in surprise. Now Ajin has increased their load 7 times, but they have never seen any complaints on Ajin. Ajin is physically stronger than them, and more importantly, Ajin is too calm. Ajin is probably the first one of us to awaken to see and hear, right? Another old Marine said. Do you still need to think about it? Said another old Marine. So strong. The recruit who was at the end of the team looked at Ajin and said in surprise, but he looked at Colonel Buggy who was in the team in confusion. Why did Colonel Buggy get over 5 laps by Akin Seaman First Class? Happiness. Lucas chased after him, patted recruit's head. Recruiter looked at the puzzled brick. Advertisement. It was found that Lucas Rear Admiral was standing next to him, the shadow of a huge boulder looming over him. The recruits were so scared that they quickened their pace and swish more than half of Marine. Lucas Rear Admiral, there is an island in the distance. Can we rest there for a while? On the observation deck, the sentry Marine looked down and shouted to Lucas. Let me see. Lucas put the boulder down and turned to look at the running Marines. All follow the order, stop training, rest. Upon hearing the order, the Marines put down their backpacks one by one with relief and rested. Lucas just stepped on the moonwalk and headed towards the island with many strange-shaped rock pillars in the distance. There are no houses or fireworks on this island. There are only forests and tall rock pillars. Each rock pillar is topped with a spherical rock. Lucas kept approaching the island without seeing anyone. Falling on the beach, Lucas saw some ashes in the far corner. Walked over, touched it. This is the ashes after the fire is finished. Although they have been dealt with, the other party is not professional, and there are still many traces of human life exposed under Lucas's observation. There are people on this island. After Lucas finished speaking, he opened up his sights, and with the increase, he felt the entire island. Behind a few rock pillars thousands of meters away, some people were hiding. Lucas walked there, and just a few steps later, a head appeared behind the rock pillar. These people saw that it was Marine and ran back. Quote. Lucas looked at them puzzledly. There is no pirate ship on the sea. These guys should be the victims. Why did they see Marine running? But thinking of some scum in Marine, Lucas was helpless. It is because of some scum that some ordinary people hate Marine. Lucas didn't think much, threw the knife on the ground and walked towards those people. Everyone, don't run. If you are the victims, I can help you. Please don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. Lucas said as he walked towards those people. Those who retreated, looked at Lucas in surprise. This person walked towards them and put down their weapons. Not the Marine who came to catch them. When Lucas came, 3 old men were at the front, and the old man in the middle was holding a little girl in his arms. Just talk about anything, as long as I can help you. Lucas looked at several people and said. Chapter 62-61. Picking up a cute koala. Collection. Monthly ticket. Investment. Advertisement. Lucas put down the knife and said that he was willing to help them. The old people also relaxed and talked with Lucas. So, Lucas understood the origin of these people. These people are all slaves of the celestial dragons released by the Murloc hero Fisher Tiger from Mariajoy. They were afraid of Lucas at first and thought that Lucas was the Marine who was ordered to catch them. But they saw Lucas put down his weapon, and the swordsman without the weapon, what threat was there? After all, there are dozens of young guys behind the old man, and even if the other party really wants to arrest them again, they think that they can tie Lucas to the crowd. Of course, even if there were 2 supernova pirates, they would not be able to defeat Lucas. Don't worry, I won't catch you. Please don't hesitate if you have any requests. Within the scope of my ability, I will definitely help you. Lucas said to these people. Master Marine, you are so kind. An old man looked at Lucas excitedly, then put the little girl in his arms down and pushed towards Lucas. I don't know Master Marine, can you help us bring this little girl back to her hometown? She was also the one who came out by the hero Tiger. The old man said. No problem. Lucas nodded, knelt down and looked at the little girl in front of him. The orange fluffy hair is covered with dirt, and the face is dirty. The little girl wearing a short sleeve and suspenders looks at Lucas with a smile. This miserable look matches that the forced smile looked inexplicably distressed. Her name? Lucas asked, looking at the little girl. She's Koala, just like us. The old man made the little girl turn around, ready to let Lucas take a look at the hoof of the dragon. Lucas grabbed the old man's hand and shook his head. Don't look, Lucas said, pulling the little girl over. A weak mind has suffered too much damage before, and it has caused it to look like this. Let others look at her behind the sign representing the slave of celestial dragons, the little guy must be very painful. I will take her back to her hometown. Lucas took Koala's little hand and stood up to look at these people. According to his experience and perception, his subordinates went to the island. Lucas stretched out his hand to help the old man's clothes tighten tightly, covering the mark of the dragon's hoof exposed by the old man. Everyone, hurry up and hide the marks on your bodies. I will not catch you. It does not mean that other Marines will not catch you after the news leaks. After Lucas said, these people quickly covered the marks under the clothes. Today they are lucky to meet Lucas, Marine. If they encounter those scumbags who are incapable and want to please celestial dragons, then they will be miserable. Advertisement. Lucas will not take these people away, nor will several of his loyal subordinates do so, but who can guarantee that the other Marines will not leak the news? There are so many people on Lucas's warship that he can't seal everyone's mouths. Lucas looked at everyone covering up the mark and heaved a sigh of relief. What are your plans next? Lucas asked, looking at these people. We want to go back to our hometown, but we still don't bother you. An old man said. Lucas, Marine, help them send Koala back to their hometown. They are already very grateful. There are so many of them, everyone has the mark of the hoof of the dragon, and they can't board the warship at all. Otherwise, it would be a bad thing for Lucas to be seen by others. Although many Marines usually hate celestial dragons, a command of celestial dragons said that they would be arrested if they were caught. Lucas hasn't figured out how to help these people. These people suddenly said, Master Marine, leave us alone. The island is rich in resources and we can settle here. Lucas looked around. There were a lot of fruit trees, and in his perception, there were also a lot of animals on this island, and it was indeed rich in resources. Okay, then I'll take her away first. Lucas took Koala, drew the knife from the ground, and waved goodbye to these people. Halfway through the forest, Lucas met his men on the island. This is. Buggy and others looked at him puzzledly. This is the survivor I found on the island. I plan to send her home after completing the mission. Lucas said, patted Koala's head. Then are we still resting here? Akin asked. No, finish the task quickly and send her back to her hometown sooner. Lucas waved, took Koala's little hand, and walked onto the warship. Everyone listens to the order, get on the boat right away, and set off now. Buggy gave an order, and all Marines formed their lines and lined up to board the boat. Little guy, don't be afraid. Lucas patted Koala, looking at Koala's forced smile with a headache. I don't know what to do. If it weren't for him to hold Koala's little hand, and Koala's eyes stared at the broom for so long, Lucas estimated that she would have swept the deck all over. After watching the story of the Pirates of the Sun, Lucas felt that Koala was very pitiful. Having experienced so many tragic experiences since childhood, that young soul has experienced so many pains, can only force a smile to protect itself. This kind of psychological shadow can't dissipate in a few months. Lucas is thinking how to make Koala cry once. Ahem. Advertisement. Don't think too much, he just wants Koala to vent his emotions, and then slowly treat her heart disease. But there are people around, and tigers Lucas can't use it. When my brother finishes the task, will I take you to see my mother? Lucas squeezed Koala's smiling face and said softly. Well, thank you Master Marine. Koala looked at Lucas with a smile. Oh, Lucas sighed helplessly, poor boy. Compared to Tiger's method, maybe the mother's embrace and care would be a better way to treat heart disease. As the warship sailed towards the sea, Lucas patted Koala's hair. Boom. Suddenly, a huge sea beast rushed out of the sea. The sea beast's mouth was full of sharp teeth with saliva, his huge eyes were staring at the warship, and it roared and bit it. Lucas put Koala in Monet's arms, patted Koala's smiling face, and asked Monet to cover her eyes. Huh. Lucas stepped directly on the moonwalk into the air, kicked the sea beast's mouth, and interrupted the sea beast's roar. To shut up. In the next instant, Lucas came to the middle of the sea beast's body and kicked it up. Boom. With the increase in strength, Lucas kicked the sea beast through the body. Next, Lucas kicked the sea beast on the beach again. Following the moonwalk, Lucas returned to the warship. A King Kong wanted to bring people back to bring back the sea beast meat, but Lucas stopped him. No more. Lavish. Quote. Lucas did not care about Agent and the others, seeing, hearing and perceiving the people hiding in the forest. This sea beast was given to these people. Chapter 63-62. New World G1 Branch. Seeking collection. Seeking investment. Seeking monthly pass. Advertisement. No need. No need. On the warship, Lucas quickly grabbed Koala. He had eaten for a while. Koala ran aside, grabbed the broom and started sweeping the deck of the ship. Lucas was dumbfounded. He quickly came to Koala and took her to eat. The little girl Koala was pulled back. What made Lucas a headache was that the little girl was still holding a broom in her hand. Little guy, just leave the cleaning to them. Shall we go to eat? Monet squatted aside and gently touched Koala's head. Don't leave me. I will work. I will work. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Koala clutched the broom tightly and said in fear. Shall we clean up after we have eaten? Lucas patted Koala's little head, persuading Koala with a nerve. Huh. Koala looked up at Lucas. Lucas looked at Koala with a looser hand, and he was also relieved. Don't worry, the big brothers won't take your job, and they won't beat you or leave you. After Lucas said, Koala put the broom aside. Lucas dumbfoundedly took Koala back to the table, put a bowl of rice in front of her, and then put some dishes for the little girl. Koala grabbed the food and stuffed it into her mouth, looking at the broom she put aside from time to time with her small eyes. Lucas just started eating with confidence, but how can he help Koala relieve his psychological shadow afterwards? Lucas has no good way. Like Tiger, iron the mark on Koala's back and cover the hoof of the dragon with the new big mark. There are too many people on Lucas's boat. As long as he irons Koala, Koala's screams will attract these people, and it will be difficult to explain. Throw the weapon in front of Koala. No matter how he stabbed his head, he was not bold enough to throw away the weapons of the entire warship. He can only change his way and take his time. Originally, he was relieved, but the more he thought about how to help Koala, the more troubled Lucas became. Koala ate up the rice in the bowl and was about to clean the deck when Lucas put a bowl of hot soup in front of him. Drink soup and soup. Lucas patted Koala's head and said. Yeah, Koala agreed in a low voice, then picked up the soup and blew. Lucas looked at Koala while eating. Thinking of what the little guy said just now, he understood that Koala now has a serious psychological shadow. Whether it was rescued by a pirate or by his gentle, kind and handsome marine brother, her experience kept her from being able to let go of her fear all the time. After drinking the soup, Koala trotted aside, picked up the broom and started sweeping the deck. Advertisement. Monet hurried over to persuade Koala, but it was useless. Lucas was drinking soup and eating meat, looking at Koala. After a while, Koala cleaned the deck, and the bowls on Lucas's table were piled up. He looked at Koala and said, okay, clean it up. The little guy pours me a glass of wine. After Lucas said it, Koala quickly agreed to come, picked up the jug on one side, found a cup, and poured Lucas a glass. Lucas drank the wine in one sip, took a bite of meat, and then signaled to continue. You. Monet glared at Lucas, just about to say how can you use the little guy. As a result, she was glared at by Lucas. Lucas smiled and looked at Monet. He couldn't put his hands on Monet's mark, but he had a strange trick. Don't koala kids like to work to find a sense of security? Then he will give the little guy a job that is easy enough to explode. To deal with this kind of problem, we should use weird tricks. Koala poured Lucas a glass of wine. Lucas drank it all, nibble of meat, and then signaled to continue. Koala continued to pour the wine, and Lucas continued to drink. Monet could not laugh or cry at the two of them. One pouring wine was easier than constant cleaning. The other one is very powerful, drinking continuously, one cup after another, but Lucas doesn't seem to be drunk. Koala quickly went to find a pot of wine and poured it on Lucas. Lucas drank again. Koala hesitated for a while with the hip flask, and looked at the big brother in front of him. Isn't he drunk? Go on, as long as you can pour, I can drink as long as I can. Lucas smiled at Koala and said with a bite of meat. Big brother, if you drink so much, your body will have an accident, so don't drink it. Koala looked at Lucas worriedly. Ha ha ha. Lucas looked at Koala happily, and Koala took the initiative to speak. Koala offered to not continue. Lucas is so happy. Next pour, I can drink very much. As long as you pour, I will drink too much. Lucas looked at Koala with a smirk. No. It won't fall. Koala shook his head. The handsome big brother in front of him rescued her and promised to take her home. Koala was very grateful to him. She saw that the benefactor had drunk so much wine, she was afraid that the body of the benefactor would be damaged by drinking. Then you continue to sweep the floor. Lucas smiled at Koala. Sweep. Koala whispered. Ah, this advertisement. Lucas looked at the little guy with a headache. Sure enough, Koala's problem could not be solved in a short while. Well then, as long as you want to work in the future, can you pour me wine? Lucas looked at Koala and said. Koala replied in a low voice. Lucas patted Koala's little head. Let's take a break, and I'll take a break too. Lucas came out, blowing the sea breeze. He had nothing to do with that little wine. He would be drunk if he drank a little alcohol, and he didn't dare to drink on a warship. He has a lot of alcohol. At home, he drank with Sakazuki, but Sakazuki was drunk, but he was not drunk. It's outrageous. Maybe he also has the talent of Bacchus. A few days later, New World, on the sea. Lucas's warship sailed slowly, and in the distance was their destination, the G1 Marine branch of New World. The warship was docked in the port, and people from the G1 Marine branch came to greet them. Welcome everyone. The G1 Marine branch greeted Lucas and others. They heard that the subordinates of the headquarters Lucas Rear Admiral invented powerful buggy bombs. The first batch of buggy bombs was manufactured. The first stop was to come to the G1 Marine branch to test fire. After the test firing, they will be provided with a batch of buggy bombs. G1 Marine is now extremely welcome to Lucas Rear Admiral. Lucas walked in front, Buggy walked in the back, and then Monet, who was holding Koala. This is. The head of the G1 Marine branch curiously looked at the little girl pulled by the female Marine behind. The victim we met at sea, we rescued her. Lucas said. Lucas Rear Admiral is so good at a young age, and he always keeps justice in his mind. He is truly a leader among the younger generation of Marine. The head of the G1 branch faced Lucas boasted and talked endlessly. Lucas looked at each other speechlessly. When did the G1 chief switch to a flying squirrel? This guy is so annoying. Just change to flying squirrels. I was told by a friend, and I quickly spent a little time flipping through the comments. I kept seeing comments on 5.14 and corrected the typo in the reminder in the comments. Looking at the comment area, I corrected some of the typos. Where are there? Please let me know, because there are too many words. Ying ying ying. Chapter 64-63. Ready to return to Marineford. Seeking collection. Seeking monthly pass. Seeking recommendation. Advertisement. G1 Marine branch, in the office. Some branches gathered the school around the table, and Buggy sat among these people, watching the three people discussing with them. One is the person in charge of the Marine Scientific Force, and the other is the person in charge of the G1 Marine branch. The third place is Lucas Rear Admiral. Lucas Rear Admiral, this is the first test firing of the Buggy bomb. Should we choose to test fire with the pirate or the target? The head of the G1 branch asked. He has a list of New World pirates in his hand. At this time, New World has not yet formed the Four Emperors pattern, and Red Hair has not yet come to New World. In addition to Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido, New World has many other great pirates. The New World at this time is at a time when the heroes are fighting and fighting. Behind the head of the G1 Marine branch, one of his subordinates held a document in his hand. Inside, there is a chart recording the nearby sea area. If they choose to use a target for a test shot, then they will choose a deserted island for a test shot. Do you still need to think about it? Lucas patted the table, and the two persons in charge looked happy. As a Justice Marine, the emergence of new artillery shells is to allow us to fight the pirates more effectively. I think taking the pirates to test fire can demonstrate the strength of our Marine. Lucas said in a straightforward tone. Okay. The head of the G1 branch looked at Lucas happily, and quickly handed over the list of pirates. Look, here is the list of New World pirates collected by New World Marine over the years. The information of each pirate group is written in detail above. Lucas looked at the other party to explain for himself. On this list, the New World big pirate groups are recorded in detail. What are the powerful pirates, where are they from, what are their skills, and whether they have eaten devil fruit. The records are very detailed one by one. Not only the large pirate groups, Lucas was surprised to find that even some other types of criminal organizations have records, such as human trafficking and some dark world organizations. These are also recorded, but there is no detailed information about the pirates. It seems that this marine does not seem to be so flattering, but also a marine with a sense of justice. While explaining to Lucas, he continued to help him analyze the big pirate groups. Lucas looked at the list, flipping through it, pondering for a long time. Advertisement. The three forces of Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom are currently not strong enough to deal with them. If you really dared to test fire on these three chassis and run into one of the three, Lucas and the others would not test fire, they would go out to pick the grave. Just them, Lucas said, pointing to a list of pirates. This pirate group has 3 abilities and 4 two-color hockey swordsmen. There are 7 ships in this pirate group, just used for them to test fire. A few days later, New World, somewhere in the sea. Several pirate groups fled in panic. In the rear, 2 warships were in close pursuit. Lucas led his own warship, and the G1 branch sent a warship to accompany him. At this time, the several pirate ships that were running away were the targets they had been eyeing before. They made a special investigation and blocked the pirate group today. In the beginning, several cadres of the pirate group were able to hit the buggy bombs in midair and detonate them. But with Lucas, these guys were cleaned up directly by Lucas. 3 capable men were handcuffed to seastone handcuffs and were guarded by Marine. Lucas killed the other 4 two-color hockey swordsmen one by one. Without the protection of the cadres, the pirate regiment could not resist the buggy bomb at all. 7 pirate ships, 4 of which had been sunk. There are 2 people standing on the left and right of Lucas, the head of the G1 branch and the head of the scientific unit. Yes, buggy bombs are indeed much stronger than conventional shells, the head of the G1 branch said with satisfaction. Boom. A cannon popped out of its chamber and hit a pirate ship with one blow. The buggy bomb was so powerful that it directly penetrated the pirate ship. In a hole as big as the pirate ship's hull, seawater poured in frantically, and it sank in no time. My subordinate Buggy and the experts of the scientific unit have temporarily developed 2 kinds of buggy bombs. Lucas pointed to the distance and said. One is based on the original buggy bomb, which has increased the power of the explosion, and can blow the pirate ship to pieces in one run, without leaving any broken planks. And the other is as you can see. If the penetration of the buggy bomb is implemented to the end, a buggy bomb can penetrate the pirate ship. If there are more pirate ships on a line, it can also hit one by one. Put on. Too great. The head of the G1 Marine branch exclaimed, and at the same time turned his head and glanced at Colonel Buggy behind Lucas. Advertisement. If such talents were his subordinates, then he would be even more satisfied. After enjoying the test shot of Buggy, right? Lucas smiled and looked at the 2. After reading it, I am very satisfied. The head of the G1 branch nodded and said. The entourage behind the test firing process and the power of the shells have been recorded. The buggy bomb is really strong, and our efforts these days have not been in vain, said the head of the Marine Scientific Unit. Their Marine Science Unit is not just as simple as copying blueprints. After learning buggy bombs, their experts thoroughly analyze the buggy bombs. The characteristics and advantages of buggy bombs are also listed, and 2 enhanced versions of buggy bombs are made from buggy bombs. Okay, then it's my personal hobby, Lucas said with a smile. Walking to the gunner, Lucas attached multiple boosts to the shells. Boom. A buggy bomb blasted out, and just after it flew out, a buggy bomb instantly divided into 40 buggy bombs, and at the same time it quickly became huge. Boom boom boom. 40 buggy bombs fully covered the remaining pirate ship. Pirate ship, broken plank. Now I can't even see a trace of the wreckage. 40 shells fell at the same time, setting off huge waves in the sea. Such a shocking scene completely suppressed the entourage of the G1 branch and the Marine Scientific Force. Good. Terrible ability. The head of the G1 branch looked at Lucas in horror. This guy reminded him of someone. I suddenly felt, we can actually use Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, etc. to test fire. The Marine Scientific Unit leader looked at Lucas and said. Quote. Lucas sent another huge cannonball to disperse the rushing waves, looking at the person in charge speechlessly. Is this guy too confident in him? He also looks very powerful in this way, but if he is really confronted with those 3, as long as he gets close, he will be beaten. After the test shot, everyone returned to the G1 Marine branch. After Lucas and the others have finished their meal, they will return to Marine headquarters, Marineford. Seeking advancement, collection, investment, monthly pass. Mengxian is rolling all over, begging fathers to feed. Chapter 65-64. Snakes and currents. Seeking collection. Seeking monthly pass. Seeking recommendation. Advertisement. The Marines of the G1 branch stood in the port, sending Lucas and his party away. The head of the G1 branch waved to Lucas, looking forward to the next meeting with Lucas Rear Admiral. At this time, the area occupied by New World Marine was too few compared with those of New World's big pirates. The Marine of their New World is looking forward to the day when Marine will flood into New World and kill all the pirates. The warship sailed towards the first half of the Grand Line, and within a moment, the G1 branch disappeared from sight. Lucas turned and walked back into the boat. In the captain's room, Lucas was sitting on his seat, while aside, the cute and well-behaved Koala poured him a glass of wine. Lucas took a sip. This wine. Well, the taste is so pure. Report. Outside the door, Monet's voice came. Lucas let the opponent in. What's the matter? Lucas looked up at Monet. It has been a long time since they left the G1 Marine branch. Rear Admiral, please listen to this. Monet looked at Lucas anxiously. She was holding a phone worm in her hand, and the phone worm was crying constantly at this time, but it didn't get through. I don't understand what this means. Monet looked at Lucas. Why does the phone worm be like this? Quote. Lucas looked at Monet speechlessly and waved. Koala stopped pouring him wine. Bring it. Monet quickly handed the phone worm to Lucas, and Lucas pointed to the phone worm and said, this is an emergency signal, which is used for help. Of course, the strength is not enough, it is best not to answer, including marine pirates. Many people on the sea like to use this trick to deceive people. As long as someone answers, they will be exposed to the opponent's signal range and caught in the enemy's trap. After speaking, Lucas is going to get the microphone. This is not a trap, right? Monet said quickly. I'm better than you, I dare to answer. If the other party is a pirate, I will cut them off. Lucas said, continue to take the microphone. It makes sense. Monet couldn't laugh or cry. Who would dare to trap them? Lucas first gave them a taste of 40 giant buggy bombs. Who are you? What happened? Lucas asked. He was so bold in making contact because it was not the home of Whitebeard, Charlotte Linlin, and Kaido. Save us, we were killed, the whole ship was in a shipwreck. Lucas listened to this man's cry. A kingdom's food ship encountered a shipwreck. 4 people in the entire ship survived, and they were washed up on a desert island. Advertisement. They went everywhere looking for food, but 3 of them did not go back, waiting for the person to look for them. He saw a scene that broke him down. One of his companions kneeled listlessly in the forest. No matter how he shouted, the other party did not stand up. A tiger pounced on his companion. The tiger screamed through the forest, but no matter how he called, the companion did not respond. Let the tiger bite. He is just an ordinary person, and he can't even break his wrists with his companions, let alone fight tigers. The companion died, and he ran away crumbled. This guy screamed and ran wildly. He ran away, and then he went to find 2 other companions. But only the dead companions were found. Lucas listened to the call for help and nodded. Promised to go find the other party. He is a marine, if it weren't for Sakazuki to save him, he wouldn't have today. Similarly, he will not be afraid of not going because of the 50% chance trap of this call. If the opponent is really the victim, he will save the opponent, and if the opponent is a pirate. He was so familiar with it, Sakazuki taught him to kill him. Immediately pass the order and search for that island in New World. Lucas looked at Monet and said. Island doesn't even have a name, how can I search for it? Monet asked helplessly. They set off from the Kingdom of Georgia. Lucas told Monet the starting point and ending point of the grain ship, and at the same time told Monet how long the grain ship had been killed. The contact was extremely panicked at the time, speaking intermittently and often cried for a while after speaking. The collapse was at its extreme. Lucas's information was the information that led the other party to get. Of course, the time when the food ship was killed is only an approximation. Because of the appearance of the other party's collapse, Lucas felt that this was a vague time that the other party said. This also increased Lucas's trust in each other. He told Monet this information, and Monet told the navigator whether he could infer the location of the incident or not. A desert island in New World is not as easy to find somewhere in the world. The weather in New World is extremely bad, and even the record pointer has to wear a 3-in-1 version on one wrist. Lucas rubbed his head, he was not sure whether he could find him. Brother, don't worry, I'll pour you wine. Koala looked at Lucas worriedly, filling his glass. It's good. Lucas picked up the cup and took a sip. It's a pity that the kid Koala's kindness, this pot of wine was changed to water by someone long ago. Advertisement. On the sea, the sky was still clear in the first moment, and the next moment it was clouded and stormy. Lucas looked at the navigators in front of him, who were looking for the location of the deserted island. Lucas just stopped at common sense about navigation, and it didn't know anything about sailing a little deeper. How did these people find out the desert island from New World? All he can do is pray for the victim. The navigators have not found the deserted island yet, and the weather has changed again. There was a violent storm a moment ago, and there was heavy snow in the next moment. Lucas looked at this horrible weather, and if the climate experts from the previous life came over, he would be annoyed to scold his mother. Boom. A strange ocean current rushed out. Like a giant sea snake, this ocean current rushed towards the warship. What is this ocean current called? Lucas didn't know, only that it was a bit similar to the sky ocean current. A cylindrical ocean current rushes straight into the sky, and this ocean current, like a giant snake-like monster, rushes out of the sea, like a snake, and then rushes into the sea. The weird ocean current. Lucas grabbed a gunner, rushed out of the house, came to the cannon, and immediately loaded the cannonballs in. Fire! Lucas yelled. It's shaking too badly, it's impossible to beat. The gunner yelled in panic. I'll let you fire the cannon, don't talk nonsense. Lucas glared at each other, scared that the gunner quickly aimed the cannon at the strange ocean current. Boom! The cannon shoots out of the barrel and then splits into 40 huge buggy rounds. But the sea was rough at this time, and the hull was shaking violently. Lucas was holding the gunner so that the opponent would not fall into the sea. In this case, even this precise gunner was missed at this time. It's too biased. 40 huge buggy bullets rubbed the side of the strange ocean current and fell into the distant sea. Boom! A violent explosion sounded between the sky and the earth, although it did not hit the ocean current. But the extremely powerful shock wave deflected the direction of the ocean current, and the strange ocean current did not roll onto the warship. Here again. The gunner frantically pointed to the ocean current that hit again in the distance. Most people use the 3-in-1 version of the record pointer in New World. Refer to the animation for details. Marine has many permanent pointers. Ying ying ying, Mengxin is rolling all over, begging dads to feed. Chapter 66-65. The magical plants on the desert island. Seeking collection. Seeking investment. Seeking reward. Advertisement. Fire. Boom. The cannonball flew out. Fortunately, the huge differentiation this time the buggy bullet hit the rushing ocean current. 40 huge buggy bombs, with one blow, directly smashed the rushing ocean current. ... After half a day, the sea was calm and the waves were clear. Lucas fell on the deck, breathing in air. The artillery next to him is getting better. After all, he was forced by Rear Admiral to face the powerful ocean current and fired. With more shots, the gunner has a lot of courage. The kid Koala next to Lucas massaged him obediently, looking at the big brother with distress in his eyes. After being introduced by the navigator, Lucas finally knew what it was just now. Snakes and ocean currents are a natural phenomenon of New World. They are very powerful. Generally, a dozen or even dozens of them appear together. Hoo. Lucas gasped, feeling that he was using more abilities today than in a fierce battle. Very tired. Turning his head, glanced at the artillery next to him, Lucas smiled. Boy, don't you have the courage to practice this? Ha. The artillery also laughed. He suddenly felt that there was a sea of snakes, which was not as terrible as Rear Admiral. It's okay. Monet sat beside Lucas and helped him rub it together. I'm hungry, super hungry, the kind that can eat half of a sea beast. Lucas was lying on the deck. Strangely, he could only see half of Monet's face. Hey, it was strange. What prevented Lucas from looking at Monet? Well, I'll follow the chef and let them cook for you. Monet squeezed Lucas's arm and stood up, leaving Lucas aback. Oh damn, that mysterious and powerful force is gone, what a shame. The artillery looked at Rear Admiral's lingering eyes and understood in seconds. But he didn't dare to joke with Rear Admiral. He couldn't beat Rear Admiral and Monet seaman first class. Inside the restaurant, Lucas and the artillery gathered around a dining table, which was filled with sea animal meat and various delicacies. Lucas kept stuffing pieces of sea beast meat into his mouth, starving to death. Asterisk and asterisk hash, Lucas said with a bulging mouth, facing Monet's urn who was watching him eat. Advertisement. What? Monet looked at him puzzled. What does this guy want to say? Wine. Koala asked curiously, standing aside. Lucas nodded quickly. ... The plates next to Lucas were empty one after another, and the Marines had long been surprised by Lucas Rear Admiral's appetite. Get used to it. Anyway, Lucas Rear Admiral will go to catch a sea beast after eating the food on the boat, and they will never worry about it. ... The people from the Marine Science Corps sat aside, watching Lucas Rear Admiral eat, all of them dumbfounded. His appetite has been challenging the cognition of several experts. Monet walked in and put a barrel of wine directly in front of Lucas. Lucas took a bite of the sea beast meat, bitten twice and swallowed it, then grabbed the barrel and started drinking. Lucas's eyes lit up. Monet didn't change the water for him this time. It was real wine. On the side, the artillery was full early, and he felt that 90% of the food on this table was wiped out by Lucas Rear Admiral. Lucas Rear Admiral, don't eat, we found a desert island. A Marine ran outside the restaurant, standing at the table, shouting anxiously. Asterisk and hash, Lucas said with his mouth full of sea beast meat and chewed 2 vegetable leaves by the way, looking at the other person's urn. Swallow it down. Monet looked at Lucas dumbfounded. Lucas slowly swallowed the meat, picked up the barrel and took 2 mouthfuls before looking at the Marine. The order goes on, approach the desert island, and send someone to search the desert island. Lucas said. No order. The Marine informed Lucas of what the watchman had discovered. It turned out that the watchman found a desert island in the distance, and the people on the desert island also found him. The man kept waving his hands and calling vigorously at him. Lucas was forced to end the meal time. Come to the deck with people. In their distance, a deserted island was found, and on the beach on the island, some ship fragments could be seen. A man stood on the beach, waving his hands to them constantly, as the boat approached. Lucas heard the hissing cry for help, deeply felt the collapse, and encountered the excitement of hope when the whole person was almost desperately mad. The warship docked and Lucas disembarked. The man with messy hair and dirty body sobbed with joy, ran over and hugged him. Thank you for believing in me, ah. Advertisement. The man held Lucas and kept crying. He used the phone worm to make emergency signals several times, but only succeeded the last time. Don't be afraid. Lucas patted the opponent and told Marine to take him on the boat, wash and bathe the man, and give him some food. What are you looking at? Monet asked puzzledly, standing behind Lucas. The rescue is complete, shouldn't they leave? I'm thinking about something. Lucas walked to the forest on the island. Monet hurriedly followed, Buggy and Akin also followed. Lucas walked into the forest and stopped from time to time to look at the ground around him. He is looking for something. At this moment, he recalled the words of the victim in his mind. No matter what I call, he just squatted on the ground, listless, even the tiger came, let the tiger bite, ah. Lucas squeezed his chin, thinking. In One Piece, when people can live, they become listless. Even if someone wants to kill that person does not resist. What can be done? Perona's fruiting ability. Impossible. Perona is not here. Firewood waste mushrooms. Lucas thought of a mushroom. An undiscovered mushroom that appears in the theater version of Mist Island. The effect of this mushroom is as magical as the name is reversed. The person who eats it will become listless and squat on the ground. Even if someone threatens him, he will not take any action. Chai waste mushroom is a mushroom found by Vice Admiral Kong Ming on a deserted island in New World. In contrast, there are mushrooms that can return to normal conditions. Lucas kept looking around for waste firewood mushrooms. Pass the order. Send 2 teams of Marines to search the entire island for me, looking for a blue mushroom and a mushroom with a pink top edge and white lace on the top. After Lucas said, Buggy and Akin hurriedly responded and immediately ran back to the warship to search for the island. What is that? Monet looked at Lucas curiously. Monet, who has been following Lucas for so long, has a feeling that he doesn't know whether to find out. Quote. Lucas didn't answer Monet, squatting down, and using a scabbard to open the bushes, looking for firewood waste mushrooms. Regarding the issue of position, I have said before that a person's experience determines his future position. The protagonist is adopted by Marine, and of course he will be Marine, just like those Marines who are obsessed with their own path of justice. The protagonist will also following his own path of justice. The protagonist will not honestly obey celestial dragons in the later stage. If his strength reaches a certain level, he can kill the pirates alone. When his strength reaches the later stage, he will not be afraid of certain bosses. Some people, one watching pirate stream, directly scolding the 3 views for not being correct, and scolding running dogs as soon as you see Marine stream. Why are there so many mischievous things? Chapter 67-66. Firewood waste mushrooms and reconstituted mushrooms. Seeking collection, seeking investment, seeking monthly pass. Advertisement. It's getting late, the Marines hold torches one by one and continue to search around. Lucas walked in the forest, looking at Buggy and Akin running towards him. Reporting to Lucas Rear Admiral, we searched the entire island and found 5 kinds of similar blue mushrooms, but we didn't find the pink mushrooms. Buggy held a basket in his hand. There were a total of 5 similar types. Mushroom. Lucas took the basket and nodded. Looking at the 5 similar mushrooms inside, Lucas caught a hare. Take out the first mushroom and stuff it directly into the hare's mouth. After a while, the hare kicked his calf and burped. Lucas directly passed that mushroom. Where it is a waste mushroom, it is clearly a poisonous mushroom. Grabbing another small animal, Lucas stuffed the second kind of mushroom into its mouth. For a while, nothing happened, and the little animal was still struggling in Lucas's hands. Lucas started feeding small animals the third mushroom. He only remembered that chai waste mushroom was a blue mushroom. What it looked like, it took too long to remember. The third type of mushroom was fed to a small animal. The small animal instantly became listless. Lucas put it down. The small animal did not run, lying on the ground, motionless. Still alive, no matter what others are doing, he will not act. The third type of mushroom is firewood waste mushroom. Lucas picked up the third blue mushroom and gave it to Buggy. Let's pass on the order and look for waste chai mushrooms according to this mushroom. Understood. Buggy took the waste firewood mushrooms and took the Marines to find a large number of waste firewood mushrooms. Because Lucas discovered this mushroom now, chai waste mushroom is his name. What about the other mushroom you mentioned? Monet followed Lucas, holding the torch. Just follow me. Lucas walked on the road for a while, and a mountain appeared in the distance. The mountain shook, and a huge head turned to look at them, and they discovered that this was not a mountain at all, but a huge monster. Lucas recalled the vague plot. Chopper and the others should be the recovery mushrooms found in this creature. In the original plot, Chopper and the others helped this guy break the trap that trapped it, so it would docilely cooperate with Chopper and the others in picking mushrooms. Is this huge creature docile? The huge monster kept roaring at Lucas and them, staring at them. Well, it turns out, not docile at all. Advertisement. Lucas looked at Monet beside him. Monet, you should also try your abilities. This time, I found waste firewood mushrooms, which can allow ordinary Marines to deal with powerful pirates. This is not a small contribution. Lucas wanted to give Monet some credit. The chai waste mushroom was found by Buggy and Agent, the reconstituted mushroom was obtained by Monet, and Monet found the rounding. Understood. Monet nodded, putting his hands in front of him. Cold storm. Hoo. Countless snowflakes were released from Monet's palms. The snowflakes were condensed together, and the temperature continued to decrease. The countless snowflakes condensed into pieces, spinning at high speed, and rushing to the distant monster with a snowstorm. Just like a powerful cold current and snowstorm, it hits the monster directly. When Lucas stood beside Monet, he could feel a strong cold current. He told Monet his thoughts before, although Monet's snow fruit is worse than Kuzan's frozen fruit. However, snow can also bring about low temperatures. As long as Monet's development is deep enough and his manipulation is strong enough, countless snows can quickly cool down. It can also bring extremely terrible damage, and it is also a natural disaster level attack. The extreme cold storm became stronger and stronger, and countless snowflakes condensed together, covering the sky and covering the entire monster's lower body. The huge monster's body was trembling constantly, and it was so cold that it looked at Monet in horror. As Monet walked in, the monster closed its eyes in fear. Hiss. Lucas stepped back a few steps, rubbing his body constantly. Monet's cold current was too terrifying, and he felt like an extremely cold zone when it was cold. I found it. Monet happily took a few identical pink mushrooms from the monster. The top of the mushroom is pink with white lace. Lucas hurriedly handed the little guy who had eaten firewood waste mushrooms to Monet, and Monet stuffed the little guy with a rejuvenating mushroom. The little guy immediately regained his spirit, feeling the cold in the air, looking at the two humans like devil, and ran away. Next, Lucas rescued the huge monster. The huge monster felt the eyes of the two demons, and quickly followed. We only found the recovery mushroom from this monster. Does this mushroom only grow on this monster? Monet asked Lucas curiously. It's very likely. Hissing, it's cold. Lucas trot quickly. The area of the pile of snow that Monet had caused was too large, and he felt a burst of cold air blowing more than 10 meters away. Do you want me to warm you up? Monet looked at Lucas maliciously, rubbing his hands happily. Advertisement. Don't make trouble. Lucas refused directly. Monet did not talk to Doflamingo, nor did Doflamingo give Guy to do such a cruel operation. So Monet is still looking at that big beauty now, and Lucas occasionally looks at Monet with admiration. But remember, boys must protect themselves when they go out. Girls take advantage of you, you only have to cry. After searching the entire island, Lucas and the others found another monster of this same kind, and picked the recovery mushroom from the second monster. In the end, the Marines chopped a lot of wood on the island and built a big ship specially used to put this monster. The big ship rested behind the warship and left this deserted island. During Lucas's stay on this island for a few days, people specially removed the rejuvenating mushrooms from the monsters and cultivated them in earthen pots. It didn't take long for the recovery mushroom to die. Lucas doesn't understand botany. How can he successfully cultivate mushrooms outside the monster's body? He doesn't understand. So bring the two monsters back directly. Both monsters were captured by Monet. Passing through the country of the victims and sending them back, Lucas and his party went to Marineford. A few days later, the first half of the Grand Line, Marine Headquarters Marineford. Marine Science Corps. Several botanists gathered around the two monsters, looking up at the seamen who took the recovery mushrooms from the monsters. It's amazing. Beside Lucas, a guy with a huge body and a solid body like a wrestler, wearing a red belly kabuto, said as he looked at the huge monster in front of him. His name is Zondao Maru. Well, there are indeed many magical plants in this world that we haven't discovered yet. Lucas nodded and said. Don't look at the young and peculiar dress of others Zondao Maru. But Zondao Maru was in his 30s when he played, and now Zondao Maru is in his 20s. Much bigger than Lucas, rolling all over the floor begging fathers to feed. Chapter 68-67. Free meal tickets versus Momomaru, please collect. Seek monthly pass. Seek reward. Advertisement. Zondao Maru turned his head and looked at Lucas curiously. He has heard a lot about this guy. In the beginning, it was just a low-level seaman who followed Garp Vice Admiral. In East Blue, a single player can destroy the pirate group. This is normal, he is not surprised. After all, this guy grew up in Marineford and was raised by Sakazuki as an iron-blooded soldier. It's normal to have this strength. But the next thing surprised him very much. He went to North Blue with Vice Admiral Crane. I thought this guy was just following Vice Admiral Crane to his hometown on a mission. Beat soy sauce and plate with gold. Result. Capture 2 Don Quixote cadres and draw out the highest cadre of the Don Quixote family who was undercover in the Marine team. Then Lucas used a little cleverness to almost destroy the Don Quixote family. Lucas didn't have any good points in South Blue, but after the promotion of buggy bombs, he now found another powerful item to deal with pirates. I don't dare to make up stories like that, but since this guy became Marine, he has done more than unbelievable things. It's not long since you just became Marine. The prisoner is here. A Marine walked over, behind 2 Marines pressing a short-haired prisoner in black and white prison uniforms. The prisoner showed a fierce look and stared at the youngest one of them, Marine, as if he was about to rush to kill him when he let go of him. Start the experiment. Lucas waved. Yes. Marine waved, and the 2 Marines pushed the prisoner forward. The long-awaited botany expert put on gloves and picked up the blue waste firewood mushroom, ready to put it into the prisoner's mouth. The prisoner was 4.5 meters tall and stared fiercely at the botanist. Marine Scientific Force. Here are most of Marine researchers. They often bring some prisoners here to conduct research experiments. For example, in the original plot, after Dr. Vegapunk transformed the bear into a living human weapon, he used the bear as a model to create more identical living human weapons. Advertisement. And the material is these prisoners. Lucas looked at the criminal, waiting for the end of the experiment. In fact, this experiment is very boring. It's just to show the scientific troops that firewood waste mushrooms do have this ability. When these researchers are studying chai waste mushrooms in depth, there will be nothing about him at all. After all, he doesn't understand this either. The prisoner stared at the botanist fiercely with his eyes widened, and he didn't eat with his mouth shut. This prisoner was not demon fruit power. He was cuffed on his limbs at this time, and his strength was amazing. No matter how the 2 Marines behind him hit him, he didn't open his mouth. Zondao Maru's face looked a little ugly, a little angry, and even the scar sewed on his face moved slightly distorted. Raising the big axe on his shoulders and putting it on the ground, Zon Momomaru was going to go up personally, teach the prisoner a lesson, and open his mouth. I'm looking for hardship. Lucas looked at the prisoner with the same displeased expression, walked to the side table, and picked up a wooden board. Breaking the plank into several pieces, Lucas pinched a broken plank with 2 fingers, twisted with arms, and instantly bounced the broken plank out. Whoosh! The broken wooden planks quickly rushed over, and as a clear sound spread to everyone's ears, the armed-colored broken wooden planks directly pierced the prisoner's kneecaps. Humph! The prisoner grabbed the table on the side with both hands, snorted, and endured the pain, but did not kneel down. The prisoner stared at Lucas gloomily, with spiteful hatred in his eyes. It's really troublesome. Lucas picked up a piece of broken plank at random with his other hand, and wrapped his arms around the broken plank. With the movement of his 2 fingers, the broken plank instantly bounced out like a bullet. Hearing a click, the prisoner's other kneecap was instantly penetrated, and the prisoner could no longer resist the pain, knelt to the ground, screaming again and again. The botanist was already numb when he saw the screaming of prisoners who were accustomed to experiments. With a blank face, he stuffed the waste chai mushroom directly into the prisoner's mouth and used special methods to make the prisoner swallow it. The prisoner hadn't had much time after eating the chai waste mushrooms, and the painful screams disappeared in the room, and it was much quieter in an instant. The hapless man who was selected as the test subject quietly knelt down in front of the crowd, and the chain still made a crisp crash when he fell down. As time went by, the chain slowly stopped swinging without a trace of movement. If it weren't for this person's body still breathing, the slight movements of the body following the breath would probably make people think that this was a lifeless corpse. Advertisement. What a magical plant. The botanist knelt down and looked at the criminal's face. The criminal's eyes were listless, his mouth slightly opened and closed as if he was cursing Marines. Damn it. Well, but it's too boring. Let's end the experiment early. Lucas took the rejuvenating mushroom and walked over and squatted in front of the prisoner. A hand was stretched out to hold the prisoner's chin, and the prisoner's spiritless face faced Lucas. Marine, who was waiting quietly behind, stepped forward, grabbed the prisoner's mouth, and forced him to open his mouth. Lucas was about to stuff the rejuvenating mushrooms into the prisoners' mouths to end this boring experiment. The botany expert stopped him. Please don't end the experiment so soon. I also want to see how long the eater will stay in this state when eating waste firewood mushrooms, and whether there will be an effect decay or an effect decay. To what extent will the effect be lost? Or is it that he will always maintain this state? There is too much data to be recorded in it. Please be patient. It's up to you. A researcher walked up to Lucas. The researcher was holding a plate in his hand. Lucas put the rejuvenating mushrooms back and stood up. Since you have seen the effect of the firewood waste mushroom, then I will go first. Lucas stretched. Firewood waste mushrooms have a miraculous effect against pirates. Rehabilitation mushrooms are also a means. One can prevent the enemy from using waste firewood mushrooms to deal with Marine in turn, and second, it can threaten the companions of those who have hit the waste firewood mushrooms. Rejuvenating mushrooms only grow on the huge monsters. It is very difficult to get the rejuvenating mushrooms. Of course, Lucas didn't care about this, he just changed the report on the discovery of these 2 mushrooms slightly and handed it to the upper level. After testing the effect, it was discovered that Buggy of Chai waste mushroom would be commended, but it would not continue to be promoted. And Akin will be promoted to ensign. Monet will be promoted to lieutenant junior grade. All 3 will be rewarded together. The military rank is the point, and the awards are just embellishments. I'm tired of watching too. Do you want to go to dinner together? Zon Dao Maru looked at Lucas with interest, and said, picking up his big axe. Okay. Lucas laughed, why not have a free meal ticket? The 2 walked out of the Marine Science Unit. As soon as Zon Momomaru said that he would invite Lucas to a famous restaurant for dinner, Lucas called Monet who had been waiting for a long time. Zon Dao Maru felt that he had been taken advantage of. Rolling all over the floor begging dads to vote for recommendations, monthly passes, and investment. Chapter 69-68. Momomaru is the toughest battle. For collection. For reward. For monthly pass. Advertisement. After living in Marineford for so long, Lucas has long changed his mind when watching anime in his previous life. At that time, he thought it was simply a marine base that gathered the best Marines in the world. Later, when he came to Marineford, he found that there are shops and restaurants here. It's just that most of the shops and restaurants are opened by Marine's family. Walking on the street, Lucas and Zon Taomaru were chatting, followed by Monet. The sea breeze blew across the street, blowing Lucas's cloak. Zon Taomaru listened to Lucas's recounting of his crusade against pirates, and became more and more interested while looking at the restaurant that appeared in the distance. Lucas feels that Zon Dao Maru is a very funny person. Just by dressing, Zon Dao Maru has bare feet and big white legs all day long, wearing a big red belly kabuto. Try to think about it. There is a little bit of Pelusolino Vice Admiral, wearing sunglasses and a yellow and white striped suit, standing on an island with great momentum, blocking the pirates who ran out. Poor Solino's head tilted slightly, and when he saw the pirates raising their weapons, they opened up some funny mouths and prepared to say, it's scary. Then Momomaru, whose face and haircut was a little bit like a girl, came over, wearing a red belly kabuto. Let me deal with them. At once, I feel that the momentum of these 2 people is not like a marine in an instant, but more like 2 comedians. The sea breeze blows slowly, blowing the red cloth at the bottom of kabuto. Zon Momomaru pointed to a restaurant and took Lucas and the others into it. This is it. Zon Dao Maru originally met Lucas and wanted to eat and have a chat with him. Result. Eat slowly, no one will rob you. Zon Taowen looked at Lucas frantically in tears. He remembered the first time he saw Lucas. Lucas has to look up to him. At that time Lucas was still receiving Sakazuki's devil training every day, and occasionally he could see a figure kicked into the air. What Zondao Maru saw in Lucas's body is, he was very poor when he was a child, and when he grows up, he will startle you. Who knows that Lucas is now so much higher than Momomaru, and there are so many meals. Advertisement. Zondao Maru looked at the 2 stacks of plates next to Lucas and wiped away the sweat that didn't exist on his face. How did he feel that this guy had a big appetite? The wallet is not guaranteed. Lucas swallowed the meat in his mouth and looked up at Zondao Wan. Why is it you who greeted me this time? You still have time to come out to eat together. You are not responsible for protecting Vegapunk. Is the doctor safe? There is someone to protect Dr. Vegapunk. Go somewhere, but this is mission secret. As soon as Zon Momomaru said halfway, Lucas quickly gave a stop gesture. Zondao Maru shut up inexplicably. Lucas knows this guy too well. After watching anime in his previous life, Zon Momomaru claims to be the most tight-lipped man in the world, but he involuntarily leaks out the information every time. That's hilarious. But, after coming to the Marineford system, Lucas tried a little bit, and it was true that Zon Momomaru would often involuntarily tell the things he asked. This makes him feel. Pelusolino is an old actor who is skilled in acting, and Zon Momomaru is a little actor who follows Kizaru's but and exaggerates his acting skills. It's a funny artist. Fortunately, Lucas was friends with Zon Momomaru in life, and would not tell this guy any secrets. Eating, chatting, fighting Dao Wan with empty wallets, Lucas and several people went back to their homes. Back in the yard, Lucas unexpectedly did not see Sakazuki. Instead, he saw Sanji's little ghosts lying comfortably on the recliner, basking in the sun, each holding a small bowl of wine in their hands, and they all came together. Cheers. It's floating. Lucas stood in front of a few people, shielding the sun from the sun, looking down at Kid who was enjoying drinking a little wine. Does it taste good? Lucas looked at several people with a smile on his face. Delicious. Kid exclaimed excitedly. Lucas nodded. This is a kid who is drinking too much, he must have a lot of drinks. As everyone knows, Big Brother Lucas is a drinker, so, as a little fan brother and sister, they also have to follow Big Brother Lucas, a ghost. Give me a run around Marineford. When will I wake up and come back? You don't have to worry if you can't finish the run. Someone will give you your favorite Bigfoot. Lucas just finished speaking. All ran out. Lucas was educated by Sakazuki since he was a child, and if he made a mistake or was lazy, Lucas would generally ignore him with a smile. Then in the evening, a Bigfoot kicked him out, the little marine next door's favorite acrobatic session every day. And these little ghosts, the same is true, but for those little girls, it is not a lesson. Advertisement. Stare. Just stare. Lucas looked at the little girls and said, I don't want you anymore. Wow. All cried. Baby 5 cried the most fiercely. When Lucas came to Marineford for the first time with a kin, they had a residence. Monet walked into the yard. She came to pick up Sugar and Baby -5. The 3 of them lived together. What are they? Monet looked at Lucas puzzledly and sat on the side. No one looked and started to get lazy, and still learn from me, the little kid dared to drink, and drink so much. Lucas said angrily. Just now, he looked at the room and found that there was no alcohol at all. Ahem. Monet held back a smile, thinking that Lucas was angry with the child being lazy. The point is not to call him for drinking, right? Outside the yard, there were waves of footsteps and greetings. Lucas sat in a chair and looked at the door. Squeak. Sakazuki opened the door, with wine and food in his hand, seeing Lucas in a particularly good mood. They contacted before returning. Lucas looked at the wine and vegetables in Sakazuki's hands, his eyes lit up instantly, and he quickly stood up and walked up to take the wine. I'll take it, and finally get together. I'll help cook for a while. Sakazuki bought a lot of wine, but the vegetables and meat are ingredients, not ready-made. You can eat it. Have you cooked since childhood? Sakazuki was happy, patted Lucas on the shoulder and said with a smile. Ahem, didn't you do it once when you were young? Lucas said stiffly. Ha ha ha. Sakazuki slapped Lucas on the shoulder and laughed. He was embarrassed to say that this kid was hard to say. Sakazuki hadn't let him cook since that time. Sanji's cooking is getting better and better now. Sakazuki seriously suspects that Lucas spoils Sanji so much because Sanji can cook. In the new week, the new cute author begs my fathers to vote for him. Take your promotion ticket and monthly pass and beat me hard. Chapter 70-69. They are all good seedlings of Marine, please collect. Please reward. Please monthly ticket. Advertisement. The next day, in the morning. In Lucas's bedroom. Lucas reclined on the bed and fell asleep. Half of the pillow was rubbed out of the bed, but finally Sanji and Kid, who saw the eldest brother, clamored to sleep with the eldest brother. Sanji's head rested on Lucas's stomach. Anyway, the sleeping position of the two of them was strange. And Kid. Kid was lying on the ground with no sheets on him. He didn't know when he was kicked when someone was asleep. Turning over, Kid suddenly felt a lot of pain, and quickly sat up, clutching the big bag on his forehead. Looking at the bed blankly, Kid didn't understand. He hugged his eldest brother to sleep. Why did he suddenly fall asleep on the ground? There is also a big bag on the head. Did he accidentally fall and land on his face? That's not right. Why is there a big bag on the forehead when the face is on the ground, and the face doesn't hurt at all? Lucas stretched, looked at the sunlight reflected in the room outside the window, patted Sanji's head, and got up to exercise in the morning. Turning his head, he looked at Kid sitting on the ground with a blank face in surprise. You like sleeping on the ground. Lucas teased. Quote. Kid looked distressed. The two little ghosts mentioned, Lucas walked out of the house, came to the yard, moved around, and then ran out of the yard with the two of them. Daily morning exercise and running. It's just that Lucas is carrying a large boulder behind his back, and the two little ghosts are much easier. The multiplier of Lucas's ability and the long-lasting battle with his ability are all related to his physical strength. So for physical exercise, he will not stop. Running in the square of Marineford, the Marines who got up early for training greeted Lucas from a distance, not daring to approach. They have heard of Lucas's deeds and admired this man, but this person is too dangerous. If he is hit by his weight, he can basically meet Roger. Yo, early morning. Lucas greeted the Marines, and Sanji and Kid were running behind him. I always feel that he forgot something. Advertisement. Forget it, I can't remember, it doesn't matter. At this time, at home. Luffy pushed open the door and buttoned his nose. Under the threat of Sakazuki's big feet and horror fists, he had long been accustomed to doing morning exercises every morning and training during the day. When he walked to the door of Lucas's room, Luffy slapped the door. At this time in the past, he and the two guys had already gone for a run together. I patted the door for a while, and there was no movement inside. These three lazy guys. Luffy opened the door angrily, walked in, looked at the bed, he wanted to wake them up with a shout, and then appreciate. Hey, where's the people? Luffy looked at the empty bed with a blank face. Where are the three people? Luffy suddenly realized that he had been forgotten by the three guys. Damn it. In the past, when Lucas was away on missions, some of their good friends had clearly stated that they would train together and become stronger together. As a result, as soon as Lucas came back, the two guys followed the eldest brother and didn't take him. Damn it. Luffy smelled the scent in the air, came to the yard, and looked at the cooking room. Suddenly remembered that there were some leftovers from yesterday's meal, meat. It's rare that Lucas can still have meat left when he is there. It's so rare. Why don't I have some meat before they come back? Luffy said with a high five happily. An unspeakable cold breath enveloped Luffy. Luffy looked at the shadow that appeared in front of him and swallowed. The fierce fellow Sakazuki. Give me morning exercises. There was a roar from Sakazuki's house, and a person flew up into the sky, crossed a parabola, and landed on the street. Pouch chuckle. Luffy's face touched the ground, and the professionally skilled face break succeeded again. Holding his blushing face, Luffy dared to get angry and ran away. Missing Makino's sister on the nth day, and missing the villagers of Windmill Village on the nth day. Well, I hate the nth day of Grandpa Garp and Sakazuki. After the morning exercise, Lucas returned home and Sanji went to cook. Lucas stood in the yard and saw little Luffy who had also returned, only to realize that he had forgotten something. Lucas watched Luffy and Kid run to find Sanji. The three chatted and laughed. His idea is correct. In most cases, a person's future character and his dreams are related to the other person's living environment and his childhood experience. Advertisement. Look, under his education, Kid, who has a bad temper, has also become more honest. Leaning on the door frame, Lucas looked at the three little ghosts with satisfaction. He will grow up quickly. He needs the help of these guys. Lucas understands how talented these little guys are. The future is definitely a few good combat powers. Lucas understands the importance of several top combat powers. Several top combat powers can quickly show their value, and thus get a high rise in a few short years. In Lucas's eyes, the most important thing about a military rank is not the salary increase it brings. What he fancied was the status and the power to control the Marine force. Most people at Marine still have a sense of justice, but because of various factors, celestial dragons control, and various tragedies in the background of the Great Pirate era, let Marine derive various distortions and partial justices. This kind of justice is justice that cannot achieve great things. Lucas didn't want to really obey celestial dragons, but he still understood a truth. That is, when all the enemy's armed forces have been infiltrated by their people, the enemy has existed in name only. He had already understood this truth after seeing the snake shield in his previous life. Of course, an unrivaled top combat power is also an extremely important decisive factor. It's true that the Revolutionary Army's petty actions to inspire ordinary people to resist, but the world government hasn't fallen yet. Marine is still under the control of celestial dragons. There seems to be a hidden boss behind. Lucas won't be like the Revolutionary Army. Make a fuss. He will slowly instill some of his thoughts into these little guys for a long time to influence them, without revealing his true intentions. Brother Lucas, why are you looking at us like that? Luffy looked at him puzzled. I invite you to eat meat tonight. Lucas laughed. Big brother Lucas is great. Luffy jumped up excitedly for the first time. The eldest brother who feeds meat is a good elder brother. Ha ha ha. Lucas patted Luffy's head, then looked at the other two people, both of them are good seedlings. It would be great if he could be transferred to East Blue, and a few more good seedlings could be harvested. Unfortunately, he was thinking about fart. After breakfast, Lucas picked up the knife and went all the way to the Marine Science Unit. Today he asked Zondao Maru to come out, and wanted to ask Zondao Maru some questions. He believed that his fellow Marine, Zon Momomaru would tell him. 360-degree somersaults, kneel down and beg my dads for recommendations, monthly tickets, and investment. Chapter 70-170. Want to learn sword? I teach you. Seeking collection. Seeking investment. Seeking monthly pass. Advertisement. Sakazuki will go to sea for a while today. He hasn't gone to sea for a long time, and he won't be back recently. Otherwise, if Sakazuki doesn't go out to perform several missions, some pirates will probably forget his horror. He, Sakazuki, can't just because Tenten is the daddy of a few imps, he can't forget that he used to be a jagged soldier. It just so happened that those children were taken care of by Lucas, who had come back to rest for a while. By the harbor of Marineford, a warship sailed away slowly. Sakazuki was standing in the bow, the sea breeze blowing on his stalwart face, raised his hand to put on the seaman's hat. That brat has made so many achievements in the year he became Marine, and I can't fall behind. Sakazuki turned around and said, pass the order and go to New World. In fact, during the years when Sakazuki grew up taking care of Lucas, he also saw his own shortcomings in this child. He is too iron and blood. Sometimes he can't even see the human touch. Sometimes he looks happy when Lucas plays with the little Marine next door. He remembered what he did when he was at the same age. At that time, he had already taken up his weapon, put on a yellow hat with the word, justice, written on it, and put on a red shirt with open arms and strong muscles, and he fought. Sunshine happiness is what it should be at that age, right? Hey, Sakazuki sighed softly. He didn't want to be like that, but he had lived in a harsh environment since he was a child, and no one would care about their lives and lives, just because of this damn pirate. At that time, he wanted to understand something. He hated the pirates for entering the Marine team, but he calmed down and thought for a long time. He thoroughly understood that his own Marine is not to allow more children who have suffered the same way to stop wandering around and not experience their sadness. Childhood. The trajectory gradually changed, and Sakazuki's thoughts changed accordingly. He was still the iron-blooded soldier, but his purpose changed slightly. Sakazuki adopted Lucas at the beginning. In fact, a large part of the factor was just because of the opponent's special devil fruit ability. But since he wanted to understand some things, he gradually began to accept the child sincerely. After a long time together, the little Lucas who was afraid of him is not afraid of him anymore. Lucas. Sakazuki let out a smile inadvertently. The Marines on the side looked at Sakazuki Vice Admiral in surprise. Can he have such a gentle smile? Surprised. I still remember the second year of the adoption of Lucas. That night he was naked, showing the tattoo of the rose and the sakura flower on his body, and the tattoo of the sword on his right arm. The Lucas boy hung on him, listening to him telling about his experience at sea. From that year on, they began to get along sincerely as they were young and old. Advertisement. But Lucas was adopted in the third year. What's the name of this knife? Lucas looked up at Sakazuki holding a knife with a red handle higher than each of them. Sakazuki looked at Lucas in silence. Since he ate devil fruit, he rarely took this old friend with him. Turned out by this kid unexpectedly. Where did you find it? Sakazuki knelt down and patted Lucas on the head with a smile. Originally, according to his original temper, he slapped it up early, but the two of them had been together sincerely for a few years, and Sakazuki still endured it. It's in the compartment of the bed, it's easy to find. Lucas smiled happily with the knife in his arms. So smart. Sakazuki rubbed Lucas's head fiercely. He hid in the compartment of the bed, but was turned out by the B*********** D kid. Everyone has the word, Cass, in their names. Why are you so good? A bear kid with a big fart turned out his precious weapon. Lucas has been very smart since he was a child. Sakazuki smiled relievedly and sat in the captain's room. Do you really want it? Sakazuki sat in front of little Lucas. Of course, I want to be the strongest swordsman in the whole Marine and even the world. Lucas said. Well, when you get my approval, I will give it to you. Sakazuki said with satisfaction. Lucas's devil fruit does not conflict with the identity of the swordsman. Sakazuki dismissed the argument that the swordsman was not a mere swordsman after eating devil fruit. He is a very practical person. Devil fruit can help users become stronger, so why not do it? If it weren't for his devil fruit and his swordsman status, he would continue to be a swordsman at this time. Boy, I want to be a swordsman, I will teach you. Through the window, Sakazuki could no longer see Marineford. Although he was no longer a swordsman, it was definitely enough to teach Lucas when he was young. Marine Science Corps. Advertisement. Lucas found Zon Momomaru who had nothing to do. The use of high-level armed color. Zon Momomaru looked at Lucas, is that this? Lucas looked at Zon Momomaru. Zon Dao Maru stood up and came to the side. The sea breeze blew his red belly kabuto. Zon Dao Maru was calm, and suddenly opened his eyes, shouted, and slapped him out with a palm. There was still a long way to go to the big tree in the distance, but Zon Dao Maru suddenly hit the big tree with the palm of his hand. Boom. The big tree was hit instantly, was directly interrupted, and fell down with a loud noise. The researcher who walked aside was startled and shivered. Zon Taowen, what are you doing? The researcher looked at Zon Taowen angrily. Shaking all over, he is just an ordinary researcher, no hockey is not good at 6 forms, just a little pirate can clean him up. He was almost killed just now. Scared to death. Sorry, I'm very sorry. Zon Momomaru quickly apologized, grabbing Lucas, and running away in the blink of an eye. Although he was not afraid of these people, it would be miserable if Pelusolino was sued by these researchers after he returned. Running out of the Marine Science Unit, Zon Momomaru looked at Lucas on the side. Is it this? Yes. Please tell me, please. Lucas said solemnly. After thinking about it, he felt that Zondao Maru, his friend, had the most time to teach him. Dr. Vegapunk was personally protected by Pelusolino because of a secret mission, and Zon Momomaru had a lot of time to teach him. No problem, it's wrapped on me. Zon Momomaru patted his chest, but I treat guests these days and eat as much as I want. Lucas said. Then it will be easy. Zondao Maru smiled happily. Friends, they should help each other, but he is very happy to be able to eat back. When the two were walking on the road, they just ran into Ajin. I have good news. I beg my dads for recommendations and monthly tickets. Huh. Chapter 72-71. The bar of the concept of armed color, for collection. For investment. For monthly ticket. Advertisement. Are you awake? Lucas looked at Akin unexpectedly. Yes, but how did you guess it? Ajin looked at him puzzled. Guess whatever you want. Lucas waved his hand and continued to follow Zon Momomaru. Ajin has that extremely calm face all day long, and it is reasonable to say that it will be Ajin's strength in the future. Follow Zondao Maru to a big tree. Lucas listened to Zon Momomaru telling how he used to conduct advanced armed S*X training. Listen carefully, and then Zon Momomaru teaches Lucas how to train. After eating at noon, start training. Time passed quickly. Lucas always looked after the little kids, but with Monet's help, it was a lot easier. With Monet helping him stare at these little ghosts training, Lucas went to Zon Momomaru to train senior armed S*X during the day. In addition to basic hardening, the armed color can be used in several ways. They are winding, which winds the gas-like armed color outside the body, which can improve its own defense and attack power, and it can also be wound around the flying weapon for a certain period of time. Such as arrows and bullets. Next is the external release, which is the trick that Zondao Maru demonstrated for Lucas. Gather the armed colors on your hands or weapons and release them directly into actual offensive and defensive power. This trick was demonstrated to Luffy by Rayleigh in 3D2Y. Moreover, in Wano Kuni, they have their understanding and name of this trick. But as his friend Zon Momomaru would do this, Lucas didn't have to go to Wano Kuni so far to learn. There is another trick, which is internal destruction. Lucas hasn't learned the first few thoroughly, so he won't be greedy for the latter. Of course, there is actually another usage of the armed color, that is, Vice Admiral's trick of applying the armed color to his feather fan. Kong Ming Vice Admiral's feather fan combined with armed color can make the feather fan extremely hard and sharp, and the length of the feather fan can be changed freely with the armed color. After Lucas waited for the release, he went to Vice Admiral Kong Ming for advice. On the coast, under a big tree, Zondao Maru gasped. Dr. Vegapunk and Pelusolino Vice Admiral still did not come back. He has been mixing with Lucas these days. Teach Lucas to learn advanced armed color, and then rub each other's 3 meals a day. Marushung is so happy. Ha! Zon Taoan rubbed his eyes and looked sleepy. Take your time, you can't learn this trick overnight. I had practiced it for many years. Understood. Lucas nodded. Advertisement. Then he took a deep breath, concentrated, feeling the armed color. In Wano Kuni, many years later, someone will teach Luffy and tell him the meaning of this trick. Emission. In other words, it is the armed color that flows. Lucas had a faint feeling, the flowing armed color, released out to form a physical attack. Why does this sound more like an application of the energy of armed color? Haki is a potential power possessed by all human beings, and this power is born with it. This is Haki's definition, but Lucas feels it should be corrected. Because after many years, there will be a group of Kung Fu manatees from Alabasta, and through continuous hard work, they will also master Haki. Haki is an innate power of all creatures in the One Piece world. Hidden deep in the body of all living things, it needs to be continuously excavated. So can Lucas understand that this power is a kind of energy in the organism that belongs to the world of One Piece. The various advanced uses of armed colors are all the techniques discovered by predecessors to use the energy called Haki. And whether advanced armed color skills can be practiced depends on the proficiency of this energy, that is, the degree of control. Lucas slapped the tree, but without any accident, he still couldn't mobilize armament Haki to release it outside. Let's stop here today. Zondao Maru stood up, stretched, and it's time for dinner again. Yeah, Lucas nodded. Time just came to 1512, which happened to be the second year Lucas became Marine. Inside a restaurant, there were empty plates piled up in front of Lucas, and he swallowed quickly, chewed twice, and drank a drink. Lucas and Zon Taomaru, as well as the other children with Monet are here. I'm going out to the sea tomorrow, so I won't continue training with you. Monet, take care of the children. Lucas said separately to Zon Taomaru and Monet. Good. X2. Koala slurped his head and looked up at brother Lucas with joy. She can finally go home. The second day. In the harbor, Lucas stood on the warship, with one hand on Koala's head, and waved to Monet on the shore. Advertisement. As a person who keeps Marine's justice in mind and is always fulfilling his duty of justice, it is normal to send a poor little girl back to his hometown so that the little guy can feel the warmth of his mother's embrace. Right. On the shore, the children behind Monet kept waving to Lucas. Hey, brother Lucas also left, so they can be comfortable. What are you doing so happy? I'm still here. Monet exuded bursts of cold air and looked at the little ghosts. Want to be lazy. Non-existent. Monet always remembered Lucas's teachings, a just Marine should be caught from a child. Sister Monet is the most beautiful, she shouldn't treat us so cruelly. Sanji took Monet's hand, his pitiful eyes blinked. At this time, Luffy was holding a piece of barbecue in one hand and continued to compete with the barbecue. What do you think? Monet sneered at these little ghosts, with cold snowflakes on his hands, and as the temperature got lower and lower, all the beautiful fantasy of the little ghosts was frozen to pieces. Yo, in the distance, Kuzan, who occasionally passed by, looked at Monet in surprise. It's the snow fruit ability person, I heard that it is the subordinate of that kid Lucas. Above the sea, Lucas pushed away Koala and continued his advanced arm training. In his conjecture, he can be released only if he has a certain degree of control over his armed color. But is this really the case? Lucas thought of a person, lost in thought. Virgo, one of the highest cadres of the Don Quixote family. If it were not for his intervention, the Don Quixote family would not be destroyed, and Virgo would not be arrested. In that time and space where the plot was not destroyed, Virgo had been able to cover his entire body with armed colors many years ago. At the beginning of the plot, what this guy showed was only a simple hardening technique. Can you say that Virgo is not proficient in the control of armed colors? Impossible. Many years ago, he was able to cover his entire body with armed colors. Virgo's talent can be seen how good he is. There are two possibilities. One is that Virgo will be a high-level armed color, but he is defeated by Luo and Smoker without using it. But this may be unreasonable. After all, they will use high-level armed colors, and they should have been used up early to abuse those two goods. Then it should be. Chapter 73-72. Koala's hometown. Seeking collection. Seeking investment. Seeking monthly pass. Advertisement. Then the second possibility should be Oda's pot. There are too many things to draw, and I make too much in every word, and I forgot about it. After all, thinking about it now, there are too many bugs in one piece. This little thing is nothing to Oda. If Lucas is a lever, he can vomit for 3 days and 3 nights. In Oda's eyes, Virgo is very likely to be an overdramatic character, and Oda has never thought of adding a high-level armed color setting to him. Lucas clenched his fist. Then his guess should be correct. Advanced armed color skills are linked to proficient control. In fact, there is still a speculation, but it is too nonsense. That is related to the personal perception of armed S**X, relying on talent, and learning by speaking and learning. Just like in the plot of Luffy Wano-kuni, I tried it for a while and used it once. But this is the real world, not anime, and there is no author intervention. Just think about it. This kind of possibility is called idealistic flow if it sounds nice, and it is the author's openness to say it awkward. Still the blatant kind. Thinking of opening up, Lucas thought of a certain kid and laughed. In fact, now he doesn't hate Oda opening up Luffy at all, and he welcomes it. Koala only provided Lucas with the name of her home island. As Rear Admiral, Lucas is still very easy to get things like permanent pointers. The warship sailed on the sea for a while, and finally came to her hometown. On the shore, 2 big and 1 small figures were reflected on the ground under the sun. After sailing on the sea for so many days, Lucas often made strange tricks and changed Koala's habit of fearing others and constantly working. Lucas also breathed a sigh of relief, and finally saw a smile on the little guy's face. Koala, do you want me to give you a paragraph? Buggy knelt down with a grimace, gently squeezing Koala's immature face, and pinched Kabuto. Okay. Koala happily grabbed Buggy's hand and said, this ugly Uncle Tenten teased her. Let's go, we will take you home. Lucas rubbed Koala's little head. Lucas doesn't care whether Koala will come into contact with the Revolutionary Army in the future, or whether he will join the Revolutionary Army. Advertisement. He personally does not hate the Revolutionary Army. Brother Lucas, thank you. Koala held Lucas with his left hand and looked up at him. Lucas nodded, and led Koala to her village. He and Buggy drove Koala home, while the others stayed on the shore. What's wrong with brother? Koala looked at Lucas puzzledly. What did he keep turning his head to do? Nothing. Lucas shook his head. Can't bear little Koala. Monet took Koala's right hand and looked at Lucas with a smile. No. Lucas glared at Buggy. Really, just a kid. Buggy shrugged. Rear Admiral became angry and shut up. After walking for a while, the outline of the village gradually appeared in the distance. Not far from the foot of the mountain in the distance, there is a small village with some huge cacti on the side of the village. On the edge of the village, a middle-aged man with a beard looked at the 3 people coming in the distance. That is little Koala. Little Koala. The middle-aged man looked at Koala, who was sent by the 2 Marines, in surprise, and couldn't help rubbing his eyes. He was right. Koala, who had been missing for many years, is back. Little Koala is back. Koala and her mother are coming out soon. Your daughter is sent back by Marine. The uncle turned and ran on the street excitedly. What did you say? The wooden door of a room opened, and a woman in a plaid shirt walked out excitedly, holding the uncle with her excited hands trembling. Little Koala was found and sent back by Marine. Please go and see. It's true, I didn't lie to you. The uncle said excitedly. Little Koala was sent back. The villagers looked at each other excitedly. For several years, since the little Koala disappeared, Koala's mother was anxiously lost. My child, my child. The mother ran out excitedly, came to the village, and looked at the little man. Really, my Koala. Tears were left along the corners of the eyes. The mother and daughter were hugging each other excitedly. The cries of the mother and daughter were mixed together, and the villagers looked at the mother and daughter with relief. In the era of the big pirates, the missing daughter was able to return to her mother, thanks to the 2 Marines. Let's go, let's go. Lucas turned around quickly, patted Buggy and motioned to leave quickly. Advertisement. He didn't even give Koala a light push and bid farewell. Mother and daughter are finally reunited, so let them get together and don't bother. Reluctant. Buggy looked at Lucas with a smirk. It turned out that the excellent man who became Rear Admiral at a young age would also be reluctant to bear it. Why? Lucas turned his head and glanced at the little guy, then turned his head and continued walking. It's just that there is one less core. I still can't bear it. Buggy looked at him with tears and laughter. Brother Lucas. Huh. Lucas turned around and looked behind him puzzledly. Koala took her mother's hand and kept calling him loudly. Brother Lucas can't bear you. Buggy said with a smile. You, shut up. Lucas glared at Buggy, then waited to see what the little guy had to say. Brother Lucas, I also want to be a just marine like you. Koala's immature voice shouted as loudly as possible, looking at Lucas excitedly. Well, I'm waiting for you at Marineford. Lucas nodded and responded to the little guy. If Koala joins Marine in the future and becomes his subordinate, it would be a good thing. But, Lucas, who had planned to leave directly, was forced to stay by the villagers that Ishan wanted to be grateful for. Koala's mother took Lucas in one hand and Buggy in the other, leading them to the house, saying that she would invite him to dinner, thanking him for his kindness. Too polite. In fact, you don't need to do this at all. We are Marine, and this is what should be done. Lucas sat in the room, helplessly watching Carla's mother busy cooking. How can it be? You saved Koala. That is, you saved our family. I have to be warmly entertained to express my gratitude. Koala's mother brought a simple plate of food and put it on the table. Okay. Lucas nodded, having a headache. However, he looked at Koala's mother with nice skin, and when he was young, he looked like a beautiful woman. Just because of Koala's disappearance, some wrinkles appeared on the mother's face. Lucas watched the little Koala, who was sitting on his left, swinging his calf. The mother and daughter were reunited. After venting their emotions, Koala is very happy now. Lucas touched the little guy's head helplessly. Kneel, puff, pass, beg my fathers for some recommendations and monthly tickets, and use your tickets to ravage me. Hey, when I was sleeping last night, I suddenly remembered a bug. Monet was staying at Marineford to take care of the children. Monet was not on the warship. I was so scared that I got up and quickly fixed the bug, replaced Monet with Buggy, huh. Chapter 74-73. Red-footed Zapu. Seeking collection. Seeking recommendation. Seeking monthly pass. Advertisement. Koala's mother brought a dish, put it on the table, and then brought the rice. I don't have much food, but I can see that the other party is really grateful. The furnishings of this family are very simple and not rich. Actually, you don't need to be so polite. Lucas said embarrassedly. But what puzzled him was, Koala's mother suddenly knelt down for him. What are you doing? Get up. Lucas hurriedly supported each other. You have also seen that our village is very poor, all because of the pirates. In the past few years, pirates have often robbed the village's money and food. There is really no way we can do it, please. Exterminate the pirates. I will help, it is my duty. Lucas dragged the opponent up and let Koala's mother sit in a chair. No, it's not like this. Koala's mother shook her head quickly, tears bursting. Pirates were rampant in the era of the big pirates, and it is worse than before. You can never clear the pirates only by a marine who is truly righteous. I beg you, take Koala away and make her a marine, so I can feel relieved. The mother looked at Lucas expectantly. Well, I will train her into a good marine. Lucas nodded solemnly. When they came, he saw and felt that there was no marine base on this island. It seems that in the original work, the pirates of the sun sent Koala back home, which should be a trap specially set by Marine for Tiger. And there is no marine base here. Lucas originally wanted Koala to stay with her mother for a few more days. After all, for such a small child, the best way to cure psychological problems is the care of the mother. This is the simplest and most effective method. There is no need for any expert research, just like this for maternal love. But Koala's mother is determined to send her daughter to Marine as soon as possible. Lucas had no choice but to think of a compromise. Advertisement. Pick up the mother and daughter and head to Marineford. Anyway, there are many Marine family members in the residential area behind Marineford. Let the mother and daughter Koala and Monet live with the two little girls when Monet and him leave Marineford for a mission. It just so happens that Koala's mother is taking care of the three little girls, which can also make Sakazuki breathe a sigh of relief. After all, there are a lot of little kids around him, annoying him to death. Sakazuki is a little skeptical about life sometimes. Where is he a daddy? He is simply the dean of the orphanage. The warship slowly left the island, and the villagers stood on the shore and waved goodbye to several people. Thank you so much. Koala's mother thanked Lucas excitedly. It's nothing, it just happens that I have a few little girls who need you to take care of it. It's me who troubles you. Lucas said helplessly. I don't know if Luffy's bastards are too contagious. The cute and well-behaved Sugar and BABY5 are also a bit naughty recently. Let Koala's mother, a gentle woman, take care of them, and hope that the little ghosts will not cause her too much trouble. The weather on Grand Line is strange, but the first half is better than New World. New World changes every day. The first half of the Grand Line was a little better, and the weather changed after leaving the island. Snowflakes in the sky fell one after another, accompanied by sunlight embellishment, falling on the deck. It feels so beautiful. Koala was delighted to open his hand and then a snowflake, and ran over and placed it gently on Lucas's head. It's naughty. Lucas sat aside, knocking her head helplessly. He. Koala smiled happily, clutching Lucas's clothes. At this moment, Bilukas was a lot more cheerful when he met her. Lucas smiled, squeezed the snow into a little snowman and placed it on Koala's hand. Sneezes. Koala sneezed, and her mother hugged her tightly. Don't want mom to hug, Koala wants brother to hug, brother to hug. Koala quickly struggled out of his mother's arms. This little girl. Lucas knocked Koala's little head, lifted her up, and sent her to Koala's mother's arms. ... Enter the Grand Line by turning the mountain upside down. There are 7 routes in total. Choose one route. Starting from the first island, the next record pointer records the magnetic force of the first island, and it will point to the next island on this route. Advertisement. The magnetic recording time of each island is long and short. Some time is very short and you can go overnight, while some islands take a year to record the magnetic force for a long time. Red-footed Zepp had just arrived at the Grand Line from East Blue, and this was his 3rd island. The boat of the chef pirate group docked on the shore, and Zapu stepped off the boat and looked at the island in front of him. There were snowflakes floating in the sky and the earth was wrapped in silver. Jep held a hot and steaming pervert chicken wings in his hand. The chicken wings were sprinkled with peppers, and the red of the grilled chicken wings was covered by a lot of red peppers. After taking a bite of the spicy chicken wings of pervert, Zapu made a happy sound of satisfaction, and took the wine bottle handed by the deputy captain, and Zapu filled 2 mouthfuls. It is a blessing in life to stand on a snowy island in a cold climate, eating pervert spicy chicken wings, and drinking a little wine. Zapu brought the pirate boys to the town. They had just grabbed a merchant ship with sufficient funds and decided to buy some supplies and food on the island. However, Zapu's pirate group is different from other pirate groups. Walking on the street, Zapu ignored the other pirates talking to him, thinking about his own business. He firmly believes that there is all blue in this world. So he decided to look for it at Grand Line. After replenishing the supplies, Zapu took the pirate boys back to the shore and carried the things onto the ship. No, it's marine, the deputy captain yelled, pointing to the warship in the distance. It's really troublesome, let's go. Zapu didn't want to get into trouble, took 2 sips of wine, waved quickly, and let the ship leave here at full speed. Don't want to run. There was a loud shout, and then a shell struck. The buggy bomb landed on the sea not far from their ship, and the enhanced version of the buggy bomb exploded, and the violent shock wave caused directly shook the ship. The hull shook violently, and Zepp held on to the railing hard, watching a buggy bomb that flew again. The power of this shell is too terrifying, they can't stop it. It's over. The deputy captain sat down on the deck in horror. Zapu glanced at the other side helplessly. What are you left besides being afraid? Being a pirate fails like this. Zepp. Lucas rushed over on moonwalk, looked at the man on the deck of the ship, and smiled. Huh. Zapu snorted coldly and jumped up directly, just a flying kick against Lucas. Suddenly remembered a bug last night. It was the bug of Monet in the last chapter, which was changed in the morning. If you just watched the last chapter today, you can ignore it. Chapter 75-74. End abuse Zapu. Seeking collection. Seeking investment. Seeking monthly pass. Advertisement. Lucas turned the knife over, slapped it with the back of the knife against Zepp, and activated the boost at the same time. Since working out at Marineford, he has developed an increase of 42 times. Open black lens bracket power increase 42 times. Close black lens bracket. Lucas's S strength in both hands skyrocketed instantly, his arm muscles swelled, and a direct blow knocked Zepp into the air. Zapu flew upside down and hit a big tree on the shore, breaking the big tree, and then hit a big tree again, then stopped. Snow fell one after another, burying him. Lucas came to the shore and rushed up. The two hit the shore, and the pirates of the chef pirates group were unlucky. The buggy bomb directly blasted on the pirate ship and detonated in an instant. The terrifying power of the explosion directly wiped the pirate ship from the sea. Not even a broken wooden board can be seen. All the pirates and the entire ship instantly turned into powder in the sky. The wood fragments mixed with blood red and snowflakes, slowly falling on the sea. Dye a thin layer of ice red, as bright red as the same red silk falling on the water. Huh. Jep rushed out of the snowdrift, snow splashing all over, raised his leg and kicked at Lucas with all his strength. Snapped. Lucas directly stretched out his left hand and grabbed Zepp's foot. This guy didn't use the trick he wanted to see. As the master of Sanji in the original book, do you not need that trick, or is it actually Sanji's own creation? Hey, what a pity. Lucas used the backhand of the knife to directly hit Zepp's body. Wow. Zapu spit out a mouthful of blood, and several bones in his body broke, and he flew out and hit a wall of a house in the town. Huh. Lucas breathed a sigh of relief. It's okay, I took some strength, otherwise Zip crashed the town house and it would ruin my image of justice. But, Zapu leaned against the wall. Before he finished speaking, his clothes were soaked with blood, and his heart was pierced by pain, and he took a breath of cold air. Advertisement. Zepp raised his head and looked at this young marine, so strong. Creak. Lucas stepped on the snow and came to Jeep, looking down at the old man. You. Wow. Jepp stared at Lucas just about to speak, and the young man in front of him kicked him in the stomach. Lucas has already lifted the boost effect, and the opponent has already solved it, so there is no need to waste physical energy. Otherwise, if he really kicked and kicked with all his strength in the event of a serious injury to Zapu, Zapu would be able to meet Roger. Save your energy and go to jail, where you will see pirates who have the same aspirations as you. Believe me, the prison is a good place. Every one of your inmates speaks very well, and it is superb for you. Funny. Lucas looked at Zepp with a smirk. And Zepp stared at him angrily, but it was useless to stare at him. He didn't have conqueror's hockey. Creak. Buggy came over, followed by a group of Marines. They stood behind Lucas, quietly waiting for his orders. Capture the great pirate Zepp and send it to prison. Lucas finished speaking and turned to leave. Lucas admired Zapu's all-blue dream. But admiration is admiration, Zapu should be caught or caught. Zapu is not a really harmless pirate. Although he knows through the animation that Zapu only robs money and does not kill people, Zapu is guilty of robbing money. For example, in modern society, A has robbed all of B's money. Is A innocent? Guilty, greatly guilty. Sanji's cooking skills are now learning from many excellent chefs from all over Marine. In fact, he himself has a good cooking talent. Sanji's cooking skills are not inferior to the original. In addition, Sakazuki also invited several outstanding Marines who use foot skills to teach Sanji in terms of foot skills. No matter what aspect of Sanji's education, it is better than in the original book. Moreover, Lucas also very much supports Sanji's all-blue ideal. Regarding All Blue and One Piece, Lucas has a bold guess in his previous life as a Hamey who watched the One Piece analysis video. It's just that this guess is too scary, and it's better not to say it until they are not ready. Kiki, it's far away. Lucas glanced at Zapu who was brought to the boat and handcuffed and chained, and said in his heart, Zapu, please move into Impel Down with peace of mind. I will take care of Sanji. Several people returned to the warship together. Lucas then glanced at the red-stained ice on the opposite sea. Advertisement. The enhanced version of buggy bombs is powerful. With one shot, a pirate ship directly erased it. Not even a bit of scum is left. Such powerful equipment still has a good strike effect for most pirates. After test firing before, many Marine units are now using it. However, the buggy bomb, in fact, combined with Lucas's S amplification ability, is the strongest weapon in the true sense. It would be even better if there was another marksman. When will he develop his abilities to a hundredfold? Then with buggy bullets, it will be a real shot Pluton. UB************D. Jeep stared at Lucas with bloodshot eyes as he saw the pirate ship that had been wiped out by a shot. Shut up. Lucas punched Zepp in the face and directly knocked Zepp out to death. All Marines obey orders and escort the great pirate Zepp to Impel Down at full speed, and then we use the Marine special current to return to Marineford. Lucas said. The warship turned the bow and headed towards Impel Down. Ahem. Zapu Yu woke up. At this time he had been chained to the temporary prison of the warship. Sitting opposite was the young Marine Rear Admiral. Why didn't you kill me? Zepp coughed twice, looked at Lucas and asked. He found that his body had been treated. For a big pirate like you, of course you must be held in the best tight prison. Lucas looked at Zepp playfully. Of course, you can rest assured that it is a good place, and some prison inmates will shout loudly and with great enthusiasm. Prisoners in some prisons will be very quiet, playing hide and seek with cute and well-behaved animals with an adventurous heart. Some prison inmates see you as if they see their relatives, they are very welcome to you, love you can't do, and even want to give you a passionate bite. Some prisons are filled with a lot of enthusiasm, and the smell of barbecue is wafting everywhere. Some prison inmates will continue to dance, each with unlimited vitality, and everyone will tell their own stories to the fullest, and they will be happy to death. Quote. I believe you will like it there, Lucas said. Quote. Zapu looked at this guy dumbly. Marine people, are they so nasty and funny? Lucas smiled and looked at Zepp. He just used a little rhetoric, and another way to tell about the situation of the 5-story prison. I don't know which floor Zapu will be thrown into. Regarding the 3 major sauces and Marshal Sengoku, please look at the time. It's 1512. The plot started in 1522, and it's still many years away. Crane Vice Admiral only started arresting the Don Quixote family last year. Looking at the reminiscence plot, you can know that at that time Sengoku still called Sengoku Admiral, there are still 10 years from the beginning of the plot, and the 3 major sauces are at least a few years away. Chapter 76-75. My little brother Mime plots against me, please collect. Seek investment. Seek monthly pass. Advertisement. Impel Down. Lucas handed Zepp to the Impel Down personnel and returned to the warship. Because the last time he found the entrance of Impel Down 5.5, many people from Impel Down knew him. The warship slowly left Impel Down, passed through the Gate of Justice, entered Marine's exclusive current, and returned to Marine headquarters Marineford. At the door of Impel Down, several people guarding the gate looked at the warship disappearing in the Gate of Justice and discussed in a low voice. Hey, it seems to be him. He found the 5.5th floor. Yeah, if it weren't for his discovery, I really don't know how much trouble Impel Down will cause in the future. But I heard that several upper-level officials have been punished for this. Shish, keep it quiet. The current Impel Down lost 5.5 layers, and Luffy, the most troublesome player, was also taken to Marineford. Lucas sat on the deck, squinting at the sea. He has destroyed the plot extremely seriously. But Ace will still go to sea as a pirate. In fact, Blackbeard still has a ticket to the top war in the future. In the original book, Blackbeard is preparing to capture Luffy as his ticket to the top war. Only when he met Ace who was chasing him, Blackbeard invited the other party to fail before using Ace as the ticket to the top war. So now in this time and space, Blackbeard can still get the ace ticket. Ace aside, Lucas hasn't been able to go to East Blue recently, and he didn't think about how to treat this kid. Blackbeard is also easy to solve. The Blackbeard that Whitebeard can beat has no strength to fight back, which proves that the fruit of Blackbeard is not invincible. Therefore, as long as he develops the armed color and fruit to a certain extent, Blackbeard can still solve it. Taking the fruit from Buggy, Lucas nod. East Blue has several good seedlings, and he has to figure out when to go to East Blue. The plot destruction is beyond recognition. I'm not afraid at all, I don't even dare to spoil the plot, but I don't want to wear anything more. Using the exclusive marine current for Marine, he quickly returned to Marineford, the headquarters of Marineford. The warship docked in the port. Lucas walked down, followed by Buggy and Akin, as well as Koala mother and daughter. On the opposite side, Monet waited for his return with a few little guys. Monet, Koala and her mother will live with you in the future, and you can take care of some girls when you leave. Lucas said to Monet. Okay, I can see Koala again. Monet walked over, squatted down and scratched Koala's nose. Isn't you happy to be a little marine? Advertisement. Happy. Because I can follow brother Lucas. Koala said with joy. Quote. Monet felt shocked. Shouldn't it be happy to be with Monet's sister? Little guy, you know to compete with her at such a young age, huh? Naive. Kid sneered. It's so beautiful. Sanji shook his head. When is the meal? A few people looked at a certain idiot speechlessly. Do they only know to eat? Granulated Sugar grabbed the small basket and stuffed a grape into his mouth. I also want Tenten and brother Lucas to be together. I want to be beautiful. Brother Lucas spent no more than a month at home all year long. Brother Lucas is back. What do you need BABY5 to do for you? Baby 5 came to Lucas. His head was covered by Lucas's marine hat and his face flushed. Hey, Sugar looked at her angrily. Another guy who pleased brother Lucas. Granulated Sugar. Lucas is my sister's. After returning home with a few little ghosts, Sakazuki was still away and did not return. Sakazuki is still Vice Admiral now, and he estimates that in a few years, he will be promoted to Admiral. Then there is the appearance of the red sauce of the three major sauces. The position of Admiral is both good and bad in Lucas's eyes. The advantage is that your status has improved. As your status improves, you can recruit a lot of subordinates to your own subordinates, and train more subordinates who have the same goals as you. Develop secretly. But the disadvantages are also obvious. Either Mariajoy protects the celestial dragons or defends Marineford. Therefore, he still does more things now and trains more new people. When you really become Admiral, you won't have so much freedom. Lucas agrees with Marine's justice, not celestial dragons. Disagreement with the other party does not mean that he will jump out directly. After all, celestial dragons have ruled the world for so long, and they definitely have their whole cards. In the evening, after buying a lot of ingredients, Lucas heard that Dr. Vegapunk hadn't returned yet, so he directly invited Zon Momomaru to the house for dinner. Continue training tomorrow. Zon Dao Wan stuffed his mouth with meat and looked at Lucas. Okay. Lucas nodded. He hasn't received an upper-level task yet, so it's better to practice more when he is fine to increase his strength. After eating, Zon Dao Maru was sent away, and Lucas returned to the yard. That elder brother is so weird, he is wearing a red belly kabuto when he is so old. Sugar said, looking at the others. Advertisement. Lucas heard the discussion and stood outside the room listening. Is that a man? I thought it was a female man. Baby 5 said weakly. Whose woman is this old and only wears a red belly kabuto? Kid retorted directly. It's also very reasonable. I heard that there is a race called the Giants. He wouldn't be the giant baby of the Giants, right? Luffy said. Shut up the idiot who only eats. Sanji glared at Luffy. Brother Zon Momomaru is a man. I can't feel wrong. Stop talking. Be careful that Zon Momomaru beats you up. Koala looked at these people helplessly. This group of people. It's strange. Ahem. Lucas walked in. Quickly, the girl will go back with Monet and Koala's mother, and the boys will go back to sleep. Go back soon. Monet picked up the sugar. No, I'm going to sleep with brother Lucas. Sugar flopped in Monet's arms. Don't make trouble. Be good. Monet flicked the sugar head to show punishment. Snort. Sleep with Lucas. She still thinks about it. The brat is thinking about fart. Does brother Lucas need baby 5 for anything? Baby 5 asked with a reddish face and lowered his head in front of Lucas. Go back to your house, right now. Lucas turned dark and pointed out the door. It wasn't until these women left that their complexion improved. Except for the Koala mother and daughter, these women, big and small, are all uneasy. It's too much. What ideas are all made? 10 minutes later, Lucas took a bath, wiped it clean, and lay on the bed. I haven't closed my eyes yet to sleep. Puff, puff, puff. The three little ghosts rushed forward. I want to sleep with brother Lucas. You go down to me. Look at the punch. Take my kick. Go away. Puff, puff, puff. The three little ghosts were kicked out by Lucas one after another, sitting in the yard one by one, looking at him grievously.